What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pin the Gas podcast on this beautiful Friday afternoon or evening time, wherever you're at in the world. And ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to sit down with my friend and legend, Eddie Kaye, where we're going to talk about what's been going on all the way up to the 200 weekend, and what's in the future for my man, Eddie. But before we get into this podcast, it is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today. Yes, when I'm looking to the right, I am reading it. I should know it by heart by now, right? I do sometimes, Eddie. I'm good at it sometimes, and sometimes I find myself still peeping over, right?
You just
With,
gotta
with, the,
tape
with,
it
the,
to the
with the little
screen,
horse
bro.
eye, yeah,
You
right?
gotta
Just,
tape
just
it to the
tape it up.
screen,
Bro, I should just tape it like right here to
dude.
the, yeah,
You gotta
just
be
hang it
like
up
a
right on
you gotta
there.
be like a news anchor.
Yeah, dude, that's a good idea. See, why didn't I think of something just so simple like that? And Eddie, I tell everybody this: don't buy an off the rack suit because for 90% of it, it's not going to fit you correctly. When you have a suit that don't fit you correctly, man, it causes all kinds of issues on the motorcycle, right? Whether it can cause arm pump if it's too tight around your arms. If it's too big in your back, it's like a parachute, just wants to choke you and bring you off the bike. My
Yeah.
recommendation to everybody is bisontrack.com. You guys and girls hear me talk about it all the time. There's plenty of manufacturers out there that make awesome custom suits, but me, it's Bison all the way. It's super simple. It's 2025. People, love yourself. Treat yourself. Yeah, I'm talking about you guys and girls listening. Get that full custom suit. Trust me, it makes a world of a difference. And on top of saying that, do yourself a favor. Actually, do everybody a favor. Bring more than just one undersuit for the weekend, right? Listen, we've all been there. Okay. We've all been there. One undersuit. I'm doing the whole weekend. You wake up Saturday, much less Sunday. It's like you walk through the paddock. I was like, what is wrong with you? Anyway, yeah. So treat yourself. Treat
For
yourself.
sure. I tried one of the undersuits this weekend at Daytona, the one pieces, and I liked it. I liked it for sure.
That's right. That's right. I got my man Eddie right here. One piece from Bison. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's
It's,
where
it,
it's at.
it's cool. It's cool undersuit, ain't it?
Yeah, I like the color, of course. Like it's definitely my vibe. And
Yeah.
then, but like the material is super slick, so like when you're in the suit, it
You
feels real
move.
nice. Yeah, you
Yeah.
move nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't bind
Yeah.
it. Definitely there.
Yeah.
And then for the men, it has the P zipper, dude, and that's clutch. That's clutch.
That's a game changer, right? Like, why didn't somebody think of that before?
I know. I think I'm gonna have Tasha and Rob make me one, but with the old butt flap, the old school butt flap with the two buttons. Yeah, I need one of those.
I think we all need one of those, right? That's actually a good idea too.
Heck
A
yeah.
butt flap, dude. I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Eddie, man, it's good to see you. We had an amazing time at the 200. But before we even get into the 200, man, I want to back it up to where our last podcast I planned on an hour. We sat down for over two, which is absolutely amazing, right? But what's been going on since the last time me and you sat down?
Uh, I think we sat down like about the same time last year,
Yep.
honestly.
Yep.
Since then, I did some twin stuff in Moto America and had some motor issues and was really struggling with some health problems. So I decided to kind of take the rest of the season off after Road America. And my cousin, she actually started going to school for holistic medicine. And so I she she gave me all like different supplements and this different stuff to like reset your stomach biome because I have ulcerative colitis and she was trying to find more natural ways to help me. So I kind of locked down and man, for like 90 days all I did was like protein drinks and eggs and like these supplements. Like that's all I did. And like, thank God I'm in remission. I've been in remission for like 6 months now. I'm not on any prescription meds. And it really, really helped a ton. It was like amazing. She spent a lot of time and doing a lot of studying to figure out what's the best way to approach this inflammation. And a lot of stomach issues come from your stomach biome not being correct through like maybe too many antibiotics or other crazy like meds, antibiotics kill all the bacteria and you need good bacteria in your stomach as well. So like did all that, really got back on the mend and then I was like, man, I got to ride. And I met up with some of the twin stunts, if anyone knows the twin stunts up in Wisconsin, a few local boys that, I mean, are doing it big in the stunting game. And they wanted me to come out and ride the ice with them, and I was like ripping the ice, and then they were like, "Dude, you should do this 3-hour ice endurance race." And at the time, Sawyer wanted to do it with me, but he just got surgery, and his brother's like, "No way, dude. Racing's too dangerous." Like, you got these two stunt boys saying that racing is too dangerous. And so I ended up doing the 3 hour steel shoe race up in Wisconsin. It was like 7 miles is one lap. It's 3 hours straight in on Lake Winnebago. It's like, can't remember the course. It's wide open. You're sliding. I mean, craziness. And I did it solo by myself, all 3 hours, man. It was by far the hardest race I've ever done.
What an experience.
Dude, it was nuts. Like, it honestly, kudos and hats off to all the boys up here that do that 3 hour endurance race. A lot of those boys out there, I mean, and women, they're out there, they're winning it in year after year because they just have it. They got their setup dialed and they know what they're doing. And I mean, they are absolutely flying on the ice. And I mean, the climate, like, dude, just struggling with the cold. Like, some of these guys, they have handlebars that their coolant system goes through. Most of the big guys, the fast guys, the guys who are real serious, and they run right coolant through uh, their handlebars to keep their hands warm.
That's ingenious, right?
Dude, it's crazy. They all have their little tricks and tips, and I was like, I'm gonna go do this race really cheap. I'm gonna try to just buy some tires and throw them on, just go to do the race cheap. And the more guys I met and the more guys I talked to was like, no, you need this. You need to do this setup. And everyone's like, called me crazy to go out there on a flat track setup suspension because I didn't realize how ruddy the ice gets. Like, it gets rutted, right? So like for the last hour, I was just surviving. Like, I going in every corner, just surviving because the ruts were so bad. But man, it was a amazing time. I had such a good time racing it. But dude, I ended up getting two white flags, right? Which was terrible because I'm 3 hours in. You're like 2 hours, like 45 minutes in, and I'm like, come around, I see a white flag, and I'm like, look down in my tank because my tank, I could see how much fuel I had in it. I looked down in my tank and I was like, I'm just gonna really let this last lap, like, just rip it, put it all out there. So I put it all out there, dude. I'm ripping, come back, and where the flag was, there was a building there. You couldn't see around it. So like, I come around and like, oh, here comes the checkered flag. It was another white flag, dude.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Bro, I was like, oh my God. So then I went one more lap and like, I'm completely smoked at this point because I just burnt the tank out, and then I'm like worried, like, am I gonna make it around? Because like, dude, if you run out of fuel this far into the track, it's like you're done. The race is over.
It's a long
You know?
walk too.
Oh, well, they have trucks that come and get
Okay.
you and whatnot, but yeah, dude, it was absolutely amazing. So like, did that and then started prepping for Daytona. So that's pretty much what what I've done in the last off season. I mean, started, working on some more bikes out of the shop, trying to make a little bit more money and um, just riding minis, just staying on two wheels of some sort, some mountain bikes. I actually went to Big Bear and did downhill for the first time, and that was, uh, I told my buddies I hated them because now it's more money I have to spend on something else, you know?
Dude, I've always wanted to do that. Tell me what that's like.
Dude, it is. I mean, if you like downhill, if you like mountain biking in general, it's way better because you don't have to pedal.
You're just going downhill.
You're just going downhill and you're going with the flow of things. And so my one buddy, he used to be a road racer. His name's Crashton. He used to,
Crashing.
yeah, we called him Crashton because he either won or crashed as an amateur. Like, he was beating all the experts, but it was like he was winning or crashing. Like, he was just that guy. Uh, Young Marine, had all the ego and all the drive and no fear. And but he started doing downhill stuff. He got in with the bike shops, and then he was out in California. I was in Vegas at the time. And he's like, dude, just come out. Like, he was doing the Monster Energy downhill. And so he's like, yo, come out. We got a few days of testing, whatever. Just like, come hang. So we show up, and of course, I rent like the top Mac Daddy downhill mountain bike. He's like, you need this one. I was like, all right, cool. So I got like best machine, you know, that you can rent. And we go up the hill. It's just like a regular ski hill, you know, it's like a ski lift. And they put their bike, you put your bike on the one behind you, and you get on the one in front of you, and then you get on the one behind it, you go up, and then, dude, like, my first time down, I was like super tense because I was like, dude, it's like no camera does it justice. Like, you cannot put a GoPro on and put it in perspective. Like, it's the GoPro effect 110%. Like, you do not realize how steep some of this stuff is or how big some of this stuff is. Like, until you're there is like when you realize it. So my first time just like feeling it out, like, you know, not riding loose. But then we went down the second time and I loosened up, and on the way up I literally told my buddies, like, I hate you guys, dude. You literally just like their bikes are like 15 grand.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like they have every top of the line everything on these things. Full Olin suspension. I mean, like Mac Daddy, right? So I'm like, no. And then of course me, I can't just go get the low end. Like, I need to get something nice. But yeah, so dude dropped in and like, bro, I mean, insane. You know, everything's tight, flying by. You're hitting jumps, you're hitting gaps. Like, it's on the fly. I mean, you're getting up to probably like, I don't know, maybe 40 miles an hour on some of the downhill stuff.
That's booking.
I mean, you're boogieing, like,
Yeah.
you know, and you're just riding with the flow of things. And then the other thing is like, you're not wearing any, I'm wearing like some light knee pads and and a full face helmet and some Vans, you know, like I'm not geared up. Like, so that's like a whole nother thing of it. Like, when you crash, it hurts way more than crashing a sport bike.
I
And there's
bet.
shit to run into, dude. Like, you run into trees and, but yeah, by the end of it, dude, like we got this one run, like we hit it a bunch, and I like, by the end of the first day, I was like hitting it no brakes, just like
Railing.
fly, dude,
Yeah.
railing. And like the bike was dialed. I'm feeling great. Like, and it's mountain biking is such a, I don't know, it's like such a flow thing, you know, it's like flow state. And it's so peaceful because like you hear everything. You hear the rocks under your tires. You hear like the wind blow, you know, it's like it's like different than, you know, riding a motorcycle for sure.
Oh,
But
100%.
and it's all about momentum too, you know? So you have to, like, commitment is so much, like, you have to just commit, like, because you can't get that speed back if you lose it. It's not like you can just turn a throttle and like you're back up, you know, you just have to commit. And it's awesome though. I mean, I absolutely enjoy it.
I mean, I've always wanted to do it. I watch it too, and sometimes I watch the Red Bull, and I see him on this mountain cliff, and it's like just drop. It looks like miles of drops on either side, and it's the trail's literally this big, and and I'm like, them guys got balls as big as my house, man. I mean, it's
Oh,
intense.
yeah, like the Red Bull Rampage stuff is
Yes,
nuts.
nuts, dude. I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" So at the mountain bike course, is it like a ski resort? You have the beginner, the mediums, the double black diamonds, and all that good stuff.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
I think they took me down like I think it was like it might have been like a high intermediate course. Because he's like, all the other courses are boring, and he's like, you know how to ride, so you'll be fine. So of course they drop me into, I mean, there's gaps, but
yeah.
they're like low consequence gaps, you know. And then they also have like a ride around if you want, like the A lines, like, I mean, they're huge consequence gaps, you know, like you fuck up on those, you're hurting, you know.
You might
That
be
stuff's
taking a
insane.
helicopter out of that bad boy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's definitely I would say it's way more dangerous than road racing.
So speaking of that, we went to Richmond last year. We go every year. So my wife's family, some of them are down there, and they built this park. It's a skate park. They got a mountain bike section with, you know, beginner, intermediate, and then advanced. And I never, we go there, and I'm like, yeah, dude, let me try it out. So I borrowed my cousin's mountain bike, went out there, did the little beginner trail. I was like, dude, this is a lot of fun, right? Hit the little intermediate one, come back, and was like, and I'm staring at the expert one. I was like, man, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Here comes this kid, bro. He's no more than 6, 7 years old on this little bike, and his dad. And he's like, Dad, I want to rail this course. He's like, all right, let's go. And this little kid drops in this huge ass ramp, bro, all in. And did you just see him go through some trees, and then the big jump right there, you just see him launch. And I was like, bro, what's happening, dude? This kid right here is awesome. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing to see. And then they come back around the course, and he's like, Dad, that was so much fun. And I was like, bro, if this little 6-year-old kid can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah. How'd it
challenge
go for you?
accepted. I didn't do it. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't do it, Eddie. I'm like, you know what? You have at it, boy. I'll do it next time I come. So next time I go, I'm gonna hit it.
Dude, it's so funny because that's like my buddy Christian. His son is like that, dude. He's like, I don't know, he's got to be 4 or 5 now. And this kid is like rides a strider and a Stasic and like jumps and like 4 years old. It's just like his dad's a maniac, right? So like, but he's like just 100% in, like no fear. Like
All in.
same thing. These kids, like when you start that young, man, it's like a huge advantage. That's why you got these young kids, you 15, 16, Moto America, they're whooping all the old guys' butts, but they've been doing it since they were, 4 years old.
You know, no, you're right. It was a beautiful thing to see, though.
Oh, it
Because
is. It is great.
uh, Kyle, I mean, my wife's brother, Kyle, his son, he's 15, and he stayed on the beginner course, right? And I'm like, bro. And after that little kid come up there and starts railing, and I'm like, bro, you gonna let this 6-year-old like beat you up, man? Come on, man. You're like twice his age, twice his size. And so finally he went to the medium one, and he comes back. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, well, you ain't going. I was like, yeah, I don't bounce and recover like I used to, right? Like like I'm gonna
Facts.
sit this one out. Next time I come, I'll do it. But why aren't you doing it? He didn't even do it either. He was like, no, I'm good. I'll do it next time. So
Yeah,
it was
definitely do
pretty
not
intense.
recover
Uh-uh.
like you used to. That's
We
for
don't
sure.
bounce, skip, or roll like we used to. It's more like, and
Yeah,
that's it.
for sure. I think I've got some of the worst injuries riding mountain bikes, like or like jump bikes, like bicycles in general. Because it's not like you're all padded up and geared up like you are. It's like you're wearing very minimal stuff, so like it's just different.
And dirt's hard, real hard,
Yeah.
real hard. Especially depending on the terrain. If it's a lot of rocks and it's
Oh
rocky,
yeah.
yeah, man, it's and that's how it was. It was rocky and kind of like clay, like hard clay.
Uh-huh.
But it was cool because they had all these bowls there, man, and they had skate bowls, and these guys are out there on these mountain bikes just ripping up these bowls, and I was just sitting there just amazed watching them. Like, dude, this is the coolest shit ever, man. It's
Heck yeah.
absolutely awesome. Makes you want to go out there and do it. No bullshit, man. It's hard for me to sit there and watch. I wanna get involved, even if I'm out there with the little kids in the little kiddie pool. Try to get used to it, right? I'm doing it, man. Let's
Hey,
go.
you got to start somewhere, man. You gotta leave your ego at the door, and like
It,
that's how you learn. That's the only way you can learn.
that's how you grow, man. And they
Hmm.
had my electric scooter, but they had the push scooters down there, right? And man, this one kid was down there. He was absolutely railing on this thing. He'd come off this out of the swimming pool, hit this big ass jump, twirl that thing around like 5 billion times and land on it, and just yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's nuts right there. The bike's a lot easier. That right there, I'd break my arm and my leg and my hip and
Oh
everything
yeah,
else
the
that goes
scooter
along
stuff's
with it.
crazy. My nephew has a scooter, and I was messing around with it, right? And I just grew my big toe nail back, like I lost it, right? And it just grew back. So he's like talking crap to me. You met my nephew this weekend,
Yeah,
and like they're trying to tail whip. So I'm like, yo, let me try this thing. Like I'm gonna try to tail whip this thing, yeah. Dude, I tail whip it and like it hits me dead on the top of the toe. Lost my toenail again, like for like a whole nother 2 years. Like it just took forever to grow back. So I'm like messing around on the scooter with the kids, and these kids can tail whip this thing like it's nothing, and I'm like, it's insane. The scooters, it definitely came a long way.
they have, and they make it look easier. Like I can do that, right? I'm more mature than that. I got this, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's yeah. You don't actually have it, right? It takes practice to do that. Even though they make it
yeah.
look easy, it's not so easy at all.
Yo, that's Kayla Yakov. She can ride that scooter pretty darn well. She can do all the tricks and stuff.
Can't you really?
Yeah, yeah, she definitely. Almost her and Rocco, and then they all can kind of like tail whip it and like do some flatland stuff.
That's awesome. My son, he's a huge fan of Kayla. They're friends, and when I had her on the podcast, Rossi usually comes in here. He's at school right now, but he makes butterfly knives out of Lego. So he actually made her a butterfly knife that I got to bring to her.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah,
Hell
it's
yeah.
cool, man. It's super cool. He talks about all the time. He's like, yeah, I'm friends with all these racers in Moto America, and the kids at school, they're all his friends are like bullshit. And then they come to my house and they see all this shit, and they're like, well, maybe he's not lying at all, right? Like it's awesome.
Right.
He brags about it though. It's hilarious to listen to him talk about it.
That's awesome that you can give him that life, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's I never dreamed of doing this, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's an absolute honor and honor that he actually loves it and my dad does too. So
Heck yeah, we need to get him on a bike here soon.
who? My dad?
Yeah, your dad and Rossi.
Get
Both of
Rossi on
them.
the podcast? Man, that would be man, he'd do nothing but talk shit. You know what? That's probably a good idea. I might have to get
Well, we
him on
gotta
the
we gotta go take him to like American Super Camp or something, and then bring him on the podcast and get his input, you know, something cool like
yeah.
that. Or
Our
like
SFL mini GP in Florida. I could take him down
yeah,
there
yeah,
too.
yeah. The dirt stuff's super fun, like
I want
corner
to get him on
spin.
flat track. Yeah, corner
Yeah,
spin.
corner
Yep.
spin, American Super Camp.
Yep.
Texas Tornado Boot Camp's pretty sick, but it's pretty pricey, dude.
Yeah, it's like $2,500, I think, a
Yeah, but it's,
person.
I mean, you still get to meet Colin Edwards
Yeah, you
and
get to hang out with
hang
the
out.
legend. Yeah, shoot the guns. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
drink beer,
it's the whole
barbecue.
experience.
It
It's the
is.
whole experience.
I mean, in reality, you know, we say it's expensive. $2,500 or whatever it is, $3,000. I mean, it is a little chunk of change, but the experience you get, it's absolutely outweighs what the cost of
Yeah,
it,
I
right?
think it's, you know, if you're going there, like it's not just about the riding, right?
Yeah,
Like going there, like where the other like American Super Camp or um
corner
corner
spin.
spin,
Yeah,
like you still get to hang out and but it's like it's you're
it's
not
more like a
shooting gun.
school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not shooting guns. You're not
Yeah,
staying at the school. You know, there's a little
drinking
bit different.
beer, barbecuing at night. Yeah,
Yeah,
hanging out.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're not doing all that. But it's more of a hey, it's a more structured school, which is, I mean, it's an awesome school. I mean, I'd recommend anyone to go. Aaron's awesome, and like, I mean, it's so. I mean, I love riding TT style dirt. Like, it's like something I really enjoy. You
yeah.
know?
It's Aaron's absolutely amazing too. His whole program, him and his son, they're
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely awesome, man. I had they just come back from another adventure too. Um, about 3 months ago, they went on
They're
another.
always on some kind of
Yeah,
adventure.
I love it, man. It's time that you'll never get back, right?
Oh my,
It's
no way. I mean,
yeah, it's special, man. They're special. That's why this was the first weekend me and my dad went to a race, just me and him by ourselves. Um, which was awesome, man. We enjoyed it, right? The 10
yeah, your
hours in the
dad's
car
super
on the way
cool.
down. He's laid back, he's quiet, right? But once he gets to hanging out with everybody and gets comfortable, he won't stop talking, right? Which is funny.
Nah, yeah, he
You
told
see
me
him
some cool
switch
stories
gears.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
So,
he told me the, you know, the LaCroix drink, you know, the carbonated water drink that I like is he said that he was like on a flight to France or something, and you know, he told the flight attendant that he wanted a LaCroix, and she was like, "It's LaCroix."
he's like, well, whatever the hell it is, bring me
Yeah,
one.
yeah. So like he told me that story, which was pretty cool. And like, no, it was cool to have your dad around for sure. I mean, I think the you know, the whole experience and learning how much like goes into it and seeing behind the scenes and all the other stuff was, you know, he was an observer. He observed a
Yeah,
lot. Like he
he
was
did.
like just taking it all in and but yeah, it was cool to have him around. It was cool to see you guys together, you know, and him enjoying it.
Yeah, at first too, I was like, Dad, you could take the scooter, and he's kind of looking at me like, I don't know if I want to ride the scooter. I was like, bro, it's easy. You just push forward and hit the button, and you go off you go, right? Next thing I know, he's taking off on a scooter all the time. I started laughing every time. Uh, yeah, he'd come by flying on the scooter. It's hilarious,
Yeah, dude, I mean, once you got wheels at the track, it's a game changer too.
bro. It's a whole game changer. It
I
was
mean,
the best investment ever. That little scooter.
dude, yeah, for sure. I told like all the whole crew, you know, before the weekend, I was like, yo, you're gonna want some wheels, like of some sort. Like it, you know, it's a game changer to, I mean, especially Daytona. It's a long way to the hot pit, you know?
Damn right it is. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Or Atlanta, where that steep ass hill, man. You definitely gonna want something. I don't think my
Oh,
little scooter ain't coming up that hill. I'm gonna have to go on the backside and go up the smaller hill and come back. But that's fine. I'm okay with that, right? Because walking up and down that hill 100 times, it's a game changer, people. That's a workout in itself.
for sure. I think like honestly the Zoom is the best like overall. It's just big. That's the only downfall, right? Like but the Zoom is pretty legit. Like I had the 110, my 110 and I like it's my nephew's but I use it as a pit bike and for I got him a pipe and everything and now I'm like, man, this thing's too loud to be riding around the pits like especially at night. Like it is way too loud. Like I'm like I need something with a stock pipe, nice and quiet.
Yeah, that's why I want to give me like a little Honda Grom. I think it's like the best of both worlds, right? It's
For
small,
sure.
it's gas powered, 5 speed, 4 speed, whatever the fuck it is, and yeah,
Yeah. Well, the best thing about having some of the pit bikes is something that doesn't have a clutch.
yeah,
Because
that's
then you can
true. Yeah, it's
like Scott's
automatic.
got that Navi. That thing's not too bad,
Mm-mm.
but it's not. I mean, it's not like the best street bike. You're not gonna. It's not like the Grom. The Grom's nice because like you want to go
To the
rip.
grocery store,
Go to the
right?
grocery
Yeah,
store. Yeah, you just rip the Grom quick. I think you put a recluse clutch in it. That's what you do on those auto clutch recluse clutches in the Grom. Then it'd be clutchless, and then you fixed it.
yeah. There you go, $1,000, and you can have a recluse clutch in your Grom.
Thousand, Chris, I'm sure you can find someone who'll give you a hookup.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, maybe we'll see. But that's a
Hey,
good idea. Don't
Recluse,
think about
help
it.
Chris out. He needs a clutch for his Grom he doesn't
Yeah,
have yet.
man. Yeah, exactly. But I'll let you know the year as soon as I get it for sure.
I'll keep my eyes open for you for something.
Yeah, actually, dude, I actually still want to sell my RC 51, man. I've been going back and forth about it a lot, man. Dude, honestly, I really don't ride it hardly at all.
Dude, I wish I had the money. I'd totally
And
buy it. I've been
I
wanting
want
one.
to I want to invest in my podcast. I want a new laptop. I want to get you see me adjusting these all the time because they're uncomfortable as shit. There's just things that I need, right? I could sacrifice that, let somebody else enjoy it, and get me all the whole setup I need to further the podcast. And yeah, buy me a Grom, a Zoom, or whatever, and still have money left over to whatever, right? Take my wife out on a couple of dates or whatever. So
Yeah, you definitely gotta do that, especially being away at Daytona.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. It's funny because once I started doing this, man, I've been going to a lot of races. Me and her, we haven't done nothing together, really. I'm not even gonna lie. And she gives me a hard time about it, and I see it because I am gone a lot, doing what I want to do. Right. It's not just about me. It's also about her too as well. So yeah, yeah. I got a couple things planned out she don't know about. So I'm gonna make all that shit happen for sure.
Do it up, buddy.
But shizzle manizzle. So listen, man, we've been rambling on, talking. We got Eli Colby. What is up, buddy? He says Eddie motherfucking K.
What up, Eli?
Eli's awesome, dude.
Yo, can't wait to see you back on the wheels, bro. See you up front.
Yeah, me too. Me too. He's flat track racing this year,
Yeah, yeah. I
which is
mean,
awesome.
yeah, dude, he'll come back stronger after a flat track season to the to
100%.
road racing 100%.
He says my dad got to witness the first ever umbrella pimp. We did, and what a outfit, bro.
Hell yeah, brother.
That was awesome. Pimping in
Yeah,
purple, straight pimping. I loved it, dude.
dude, that was great. That was pretty funny. Eli coming out
Hilarious.
there got all the confidence in the world, bro.
I love it, dude. I love
Heck
it.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so listen, it was an honor for you guys, well, for you to invite me to be on the team for the 200. So yeah, I want to talk about what brought on this 200 adventure. Like, where did it all begin? How did it start?
Well, I mean, it all started with last year's 200, honestly. Um, Man, the story kind of, I mean, I'm trying not to make it too long because meeting Al and Racing Unlimited, Kyle and Cody and all those boys in Iowa all started with twin stuff. I bought the Ninja 650, and it was already, the engine was already built. It was, pretty much a race bike if you wanted to, it was raceable, right? But when I bought it, I got it pretty cheap. I took it all apart and rebuilt, put K-Tech on it, took the Olins off, did my own little things, made a racing harness, um, you know, little stuff, whatever. And I ended up having an engine issue, and was trying to figure out what head gasket it was. So I contacted the guy I bought the bike from. He told me about Al. They live out in Iowa, and he was like, "Oh, come out, just come out, and I'll help you out with the engine." And I was like, "Okay, cool, I'll come out." But I was like, "Yo, I don't really have a whole lot of money." I explained, I'm racing, I'm doing my thing, and he's like, "Well, do you have any skills? Like, can you do something?" And I was like, "Well, we could trade work." So I took this Kawasaki sign down off his dealership, like giant letters, probably like, I don't know, 3 by 3, maybe 3.5 feet letters off the sign, off the dealership, and I repainted them and put LEDs in them because I used to have fluorescent bulbs in it, and redid all that, and he helped me rebuild my engine, and we just traded work. So then uh, Kyle at the time was working there as a mechanic, and we got to talk, and he was like, "Oh, I like road racing, da 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 da." So Kyle's pretty cool, and then Cody, he's like a really good mechanic, and from that's how we kind of hit it off, was just talking about suspension and blah blah blah. And he's a like an A rider, motocross guy. Like, dude can rip, and he gets along on a motocross bike really well. So just hit it off with those guys, and then one day it was sitting in Kyle's shop, and he was like, "I want to do some Moto America stuff," and I was like, "Well, let's do the 200." I was like, "You got the bike?" Like, he already had a Ninja 23 Ninja. Uh, And I was like, "Well, let's do some Moto America stuff, and let's do the 200." And he was like, "Okay, well, how much would it cost?" So I like went home that weekend and literally wrote up a whole budget of like what it would cost, and I sent it to him, and then he was like, "Okay." And so then we worked it out, but we didn't do any engine work to the bike last year. We rode a stock motor ZX6 at Daytona, and we showed up there, and the bike uh, just didn't have the power on the banks, but in the infield, it handled really well, and I got along pretty well. So I was able to make qualifying, but the bike was pretty darn slow on the bank. I mean, I think 155 was the fastest speed I seen in the draft, which is like, and I think there were some other things going on with the bike, but we weren't really sure. So then, finished the 200 last year, and then we wanted to approach it better this year, but Moto America wasn't. They weren't sure if they were going to homologate the ZX6 again. So we were kind of waiting on rules to drop and the homologation of what bike was going to be able to run, because there was this gray area, and try to talk to tech, and they couldn't really give us a straight answer. So not till really January 1st was like when the rules got dropped, and that it was cool to run the ZX6. So it was kind of like a mad scramble, because this year we were like, well, we don't want to go without a built engine, right? Because the big goal last year was just completing it for the team, overall, with Kyle being, that was his first race ever, Moto America, like as a team. So that was the Daytona 200 last year. So it was the first time anybody ever got together. Um, so this year, we were like, let's improve on some of the stuff we didn't do, and bring a better team. And we pulled more sponsorship this year, and it was and more support than ever. It was amazing. But we got to Daytona, and there was, I mean, our dyno broke, like, man, it broke the weekend we were supposed to go testing, and so we kind of headed into Daytona without any baseline, with the new tires on the bike, switching to the Bridgestones from the Dunlops. Bridgestone, like, they helped me out a lot this year. Huge deal. Can't thank them enough, with all their support and help, and trying to get this bike dialed. But unfortunately, we didn't get a test weekend on the Bridgestone. So showing up to Daytona with no true baseline was like where everything kind of started.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was, you know, you, going. We had this conversation before. Daytona is such a unique, special endurance race, right? You always try to be as much prepared as you can be. Sometimes it just don't happen that way, right? Sometimes outside forces that you can't control. Dude, this hair right here is like itching my eyebrow.
Dude, I wish I would have been able to get my wig, dude. I didn't
I
get
know,
one.
dude.
But
I
I did
know.
shave the beard for you. You said
Just
something about me being clean shaved, so I
I
did
did.
it for you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I shaved the other day too, for sure. Uh, but yeah, the weekend, man, it's such an oddball weekend because it's the only race of the year we race there. It's such a different, unique setup as far as suspension because you got to deal with the banking, right? Where there's no other bankings at any other track at like Daytona. The infield's fine, but the gearing and the quick change and everything else that goes into it. Being part of the team and helping everybody out was absolutely amazing. I think you did an amazing job for the circumstances that we were in and we faced together, right? Um, it's a lot bigger place than I imagined. Obviously, being there, going around watching people ride the track, you get a sense of how big. Not only that, but the effort that goes into making the Daytona 200. Right, it's unlike a club race or any other Moto America event. Um, Again, everybody on the team was super chill, super laid back. Everybody got along. Everybody did their part that they were supposed to do. It's hard to accept the outside circumstances that you can't control, right, on a weekend like that. Um, and that's why I kept telling you, man. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be part of the game, and we're in the show. Like, let's just enjoy it and have fun to the best ability that we can, given the tools that we had to work with at the time, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. I mean, honestly, like the funny thing is the whole man, I mean, since January 1st, everything along the line of like getting this 200 up and going, I'm not joking, is like it became hysterical at one point where I was just like every possible thing could go wrong. Like everything. I'm not even kidding you. I was just like getting to the point where it was so hilarious because I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like this one thing, not next thing, next thing, next thing. Graphics show up wrong color. Man, my helmet didn't get wrapped. I mean, the dyno breaking, then spending these days on trying to get the dyno fixed, and then man, the underslung caliper came and I don't know what's going on with Fast Franks. I don't know who's making this shit anymore. But dude, it was 3 millimeters too wide, and like literally had to get it machined at midnight at night, like by Al, who's getting his flat track bike ready to go to AFT, and like he has to put all his stuff on hold to cut this caliper, this underslung caliper bracket down. Dude, I'm not kidding you. It got to the point where so much stuff was going wrong where like, the check, one of my checks got sent to my house and it was supposed to get sent to Kyle's house because I was already in Iowa. So I had to drive 6 hours back to my house just to get this check to drive all the way back because I'm in an apartment and nobody can get in my mailbox. So like, I mean, in every aspect of going up here, right before we're about to leave, my truck throws a CP3 code, which is a high pressure fuel pump for my diesel, and I'm like, that's catastrophic if it goes, you know what I mean? So then didn't take my truck, and it's just like every possible thing that could go wrong was going wrong, and like I just was letting it, I was like letting go and letting God be in control and just being like going with the flow, and like, so I honestly like going into the weekend, it was like, man, there was so much already against us. Like, so then showing up there and having those things, it's like I was almost already prepared. Like,
yeah,
I, in no means did I like, I think a few years ago I probably would have been really angry and been in a crappy mood and like, like kind of just, dealt with it in a different way. Where like this year was kind of like, I mean, not sitting there and I can only control what I can control. And like, I was trying to really just be the rider this year and just get on the bike and ride it. Where last year I kind of, you know, I I double checked a lot of things and made things that were I was always working on the bike last year while riding. And this year I kind of wanted to step back and, things came out of my control. Um, and you know, that's not saying anything bad about the crew. The crew did an amazing job. But we had some problems with the tire warmers, and that's that that's bad bad planning on our part. Should have tested the warmers and made sure before heading to Daytona that they were good. Um, and there's other things that it's all a learning experience. But I mean, the crew did amazing, especially, I went out and practiced and crashed right away and practiced and coming back, and the bike got pretty banged up. I mean, sliding in turn one where there's no grass, it like the pavement really chewed it up. Honestly, I thought I went through my leathers when I stood up because my ass was so damn hot. Like, because I slid on that pavement for so long, and um, so the bike really got chewed up, and brand new, lightweight subframe hit the hay bales and just bent the crap out of it. So bringing it back, and man, they worked super hard and got the bike back together and ready for qualifying one. Um, and I mean, I can't thank them enough for all their hard work. And Sean, Sean, like he brought that body work back. He
Bro.
fiberglassed this thing in between practice one and qualifying, and everyone and like some of us are like, man, is this gonna be dry in time? Like, is it even gonna be ready? And like Sean's like, it'll be there at 2:15 or something. He showed up like 2:23, and I was like, I can like the bodywork. Like if you had a spray gun, you would have never even known. It
Nope,
looked so good, and I
it
mean,
did.
when he handed it to him, it was pretty chewed up.
It was. I was like in awe. I was like, holy shit, dude, you just did this? He's like, yeah. I was like, bro, that's some skill. That
No,
is a skill
it
trade.
it was
100%.
100% super impressive. Like I was not ready for that.
I
So
wasn't
that was
either.
super cool, and then everyone, getting the bike ready, Kyle and Cody, and feeling Kyle out, I feel bad for Kyle. He has this brand new bike and really the first time I'm on it all year and throw it on the ground. I mean, it's part of the game, but it's not definitely how you want to start it. And but yeah, so Kyle remained calm for the most part, and I threw his baby on the ground. I'm sorry, buddy. And so yeah, the team worked pretty hard to get the bike back together, and it was I mean honestly, hats off to them. It was a really good performance of just everyone working together. It was great.
It was awesome to see everybody come together. It's like almost when dinner served, everybody's quiet and everybody's got their own part to play on the bike, getting it ready for you, right? While you're trying to get your thoughts together and be okay with letting go of things you can't control. And it's easier said than done, dude. I struggle with it still to this day, right? I think it's human nature to want to everything to go perfect in the way you envisioned it and to have some type of reign on it and some type of control on it. But at the end of the day, you can only control what you control, which is riding the bike fast, and not having any testing is definitely a setback, right? Because you throwing I mean, Bridgestone's on there, the Dunlop, so that changes the geometry of the bike, and getting it all set up is a huge deal. But again, Eddie, I thought you freaking killed it, man. You did amazing, right? I mean, the the concentration you had to have to approach that weekend, knowing you didn't have no testing time, and still going out there and giving it your all, is just says everything about your character and who you are. Um,
I appreciate that. I mean,
yeah, man, I
it's
see it, dude.
hard.
I
It's
see
hard
it.
as a rider,
I know it
definitely hard as
is.
a rider, and approaching it too this week. I'm finally on the mend, but I've been sick for 5 weeks with walking pneumonia and like just trying to, overcome that. Thank God being in Florida made me feel a lot better for a few days
Right.
instead of being up here. But, um, and honestly, I was trying not to let anything affect me and like live in those moments. I was
Yep.
really trying to let things go and like not concentrate on everything that was put against us. Um, I think it would have been the easy way out would have been like, oh, hey, we didn't test the dyno. We had these dyno issues. Da da da. Maybe we just call it. I think that was maybe a route of doing it, but at the same time, like you know it's hard to quit when you're already that far in, and then you have all this support, like all the help from Bill at Chiguana and him coming out and sponsoring the helmet and helping out with the shirts, and then you got Ebony and Vic from Hometown Orthodontics, longtime friends, and Vic drove his camper down to make sure we had somewhere good to stay and somewhere to cook some food, and Ebony was she helped me out with the tire bill and so much help, Oh, and she bought all the shirts. So I was trying to sell some shirts to make some money, and Ebony was like, "Hey, I'll just buy all the shirts. You can just give them all away." So she literally bought all my shirts, and then I was able just to give them away for free, which was super cool. And just the overall help of Sean coming out and helping us with the tank, and of course Kyle bringing the bike and all that. And I mean, just the my whole family, drove all the way down from Wisconsin to support me, and um, you know, and everybody just coming out Bridgestone. I mean, what a huge deal, I had the opportunity to get a corporate sponsorship from Bridgestone for the season, for not the season, but for the race, which was like a super cool opportunity to have those guys, in the pit to help with making sure the tire's good and it's wearing good. Unfortunately, it's hard to when the suspension's not set up, you're battling tire against suspension, and it's this endless game. But yeah, so the out the so much support at the same time. So that was where I was trying to remember, where all these bad things are happening, and being like, well, I do have all this good, and I have all these people that want to help me and believe in me,
Yep.
and it's a different fact though when you come back to the pit and you don't have the best result, or you have a crash or something. And it's different when it's just you're coming back to the pit and you and your one homie, but when you show up and it's like, show up on a crash truck with this bike all beat up, and like you got 12, 15 people standing there staring at you, you're like, it hits different, it
It
hits a lot
does.
different. Um,
It does. And but another plus side, dude, we got a garage. We got a
oh
garage at the Daytona 200 for
yeah,
free.
Bridgestone, hooked it up with the garage. I mean, I didn't expect that at all, and that was definitely really nice to have everything in the garage. And I mean, like I said, Bridgestone coming out and just helping in general is super big, and it's a downfall because I didn't get to I wasn't able to let their tire, shine and give them a good result, and that kind of sucks, for sure, because they believe in me. I want to be able to go show them that, that hey, you should be riding the Bridgestone. So.
How did that whole Bridgestone thing come together?
Honestly, it just came together through uh, Rob from man, I'm sorry, Rob. I don't remember what, what your business is called. But he's one of Kyle's buddy, Rob Oliveira. You know Rob.
Yeah, I know Rob.
Um, Rob was a Bridgestone dealer, and he was like, "Oh, you guys want to run the Stones? I'll give you a discount." So I was like, "Okay, let's run the Bridgestones." I ran the Bridgestones in 2019, and I had a lot of success on them. So I was like, I definitely let's ride the Bridgestones again. And then it kind of came down to like Rob. Rob reached out. I'm not sure what happened behind the scenes. All I know is I got an email with the contract. So I'm pretty sure Rob reached out to the guys in Indianapolis with the Bridgestone corporate and was like, hey, I was supposed to come through. I was just trying to pick up some tires on the way down to CMP. Um, and I don't know what Kyle and Rob did exactly. I didn't really ask a whole lot of questions. I just was like, all right, I'll sign this thing. And yeah, so I'm pretty sure Rob just reached out to them, and they were like, oh hey, you want to ride Bridgestones? We'll make you a corporate rider. Pretty much, if I finished top 15, they would have paid my tire bill.
It's all right. We got next year. Next year we'll finish in the top 10 and get free tires for the weekend, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. We gotta take some time and really dial the bike in on the Bridgestone, and also dial it in on the Dunlop. If the plan is to do some more Moto America stuff, we're gonna have two different setups for sure.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
and the tire reacts so much different, and it's a lot different feel. Um, so as a rider, I'm like, it's hard to jump back and forth, but
No, I can see that for sure, right? To me, Bridgestone's always been one of my favorite front tires on the planet. I mean, the thing's it's like you could just throw it in, load it up, and just on the brakes, and it's like, is that all you got? Like, I got
yeah,
way more than you can give me, right? Yeah, a lot of people I don't guess realize neither. I hope they do that. The tires we run at Daytona is a different tire than we run anywhere else in the world, right? Those tires are made specifically for Daytona, and that's it. Um, just like at the TT, right? They make tires specifically just for the TT and all that good stuff. So, um, in order to take the loads of the banking, which if you've never seen the banking, it is literally like this, right? And I wanted to climb it so bad. There's signs like do not climb the banking. I'm like, next year I'm climbing the fucking banking for sure.
Yeah, I've had a few opportunities to get up on the banking, you know.
Yeah, I got to, man. It's a bucket list item, man. Let's go, right?
It's insane. You don't ever understand it, so you won't. It's not even going up it, it's going down it.
Down it. Yeah. And
You
then
go up it, you're like, okay, and then you go down and you're like, oh, this is like you don't walk down it.
you slide down it. Yeah, you slide down it. Yeah, I almost need to bring a trash can lid. You just sit on it and just right down, right?
Right, for sure.
Absolutely. And then, dude, the whole weekend to me was absolutely an amazing weekend. Met so many people, seen so many of my friends. I'm
You
proud
met
of
Keanu.
dude, met Keanu Reeves. Check that off the bucket list right there for sure.
Dude,
That was
you came back in the pit. I thought you were about to faint, bro.
dude, I didn't know. Yeah, it was
You
it
were
was so
so jacked.
surreal.
You were
Yeah.
so jacked.
He's been my favorite actor. I've watched Keanu a long time, and to be able to have the conversation we had together was just like I can't believe, like, is this really happening, right? So it's
All
one of
right.
those
What's your
moments that
favorite Keanu movie?
my favorite Keanu movie, man, the first one that comes to my head is Point Break, man. Johnny Utah, baby, let's go. Remember with um, Patrick Swayze, they were bank robbers and they wore the president's
Oh
mask.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he was the ex football player turned cop, got into
Hmm.
surfing. Yeah, that was the whole movie is it's just a badass movie, right? And then from there, of course, you got John Wick, you got the Matrix series, you got Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I mean,
Dude,
it's
how about Hardball?
Hardball. It's
That's a
any role
that
he
movie.
plays, he
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
murders it.
for sure.
And everything you hear about him is exactly the truth. He's laid back, looks at you in the eyes when you talk. It's hard to even talk about because it was so surreal. It happened like this, but at the time, it's like time slowed way down, right? It's like nothing was happening, but me and him in our conversation. Nothing else around was even going on, right? And then as soon as I turned around and walked away, everything just like sped back up again, and I was like, "Fuck." That's what I said. Did
So you're
that really
telling me
just happen?
Keanu can change time?
Bro, I mean, that's what it felt like. Like the whole world just kind of like stopped for that brief couple of minutes, and then as soon as I left, it was just like went back. It was, yeah, man. It was, yeah. You can see my smile, man. It's absolutely, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I really hope he does come on your podcast, dude. If he does, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, my dad said something about that yesterday. He called me. He's like, "So have you heard from Keanu yet?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Dude, how cool would that be?" I was like, "Dad, I'm gonna say it like you always told me. If it's meant to be, it'll be, right?" Um,
Facts.
and he was just like, "Dude, I know, but how cool?" I was like, "You sound like me, Dad, right now, right? You need to have patience, right? That's what you always tell me. Here I am being the patient one, and you're just over there." So yeah, I mean, yeah, I invited him on the podcast. He called his manager over there. He took all my information down. I gave him 2 stickers, and he said they'd be in touch. So we'll see what happens, man. How cool would that be to have John Wick, Johnny Utah, all
Dude,
that good stuff?
that would be unreal, man. That'd be unreal. Keanu seems super cool. I mean, he's just another bike guy, dude. He's just
That's
a
it.
dude that likes bikes.
That's
That
it.
just you know that made his money in a different way.
And I told him too during our conversation. I was like, dude, the movies. I don't care about the movies. I want to talk about the motorcycles. Like, how did you get into motorcycles to begin with? Like your whole personal journey to where you are with Arch and how you give back to the community. And he looked like he was all about it. So obviously he called his manager over there, right? So yeah, I try not to think about it. No lie, people. I try not to think about it. So dude, Eddie, I do, dude. I try my hardest not to think about it, right? But dude, you know how many times I walked around like I had my pre-surgery appointment yesterday because I got surgery coming up this Tuesday, and I'm sitting there in the office, and I was like, "You want to see something cool?" They're like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I showed the picture. They're like, "Holy shit, that's you and Keanu Reeves." I was like, "Yeah, I know, right? How cool is that?"
I
Yeah.
know that's your background now.
No, absolutely, it's not. I need to. My background on my phone still my dog that passed away like 9 months ago.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
Oh, dude, no worries. it's part of life. I tell people that when things like that happen with an animal, instead of what I could have done to prevent it and this and that, blah blah blah, I try to focus on what an honor it was to spend those 6 years together, right? Um,
Yep. I had to do the same thing when my dog died.
Bro, I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. It's 9 months, and there's times I'll be taking a shower, whatever, and I'll just think about it. I'll just break down and cry like a little girl. Like at work the other day, I had to go to the bathroom. Like this, thanks Facebook. I'm on break, and this memory pops up, and I was like, God damn it, dude. Like I feel it instantly come on. So I go straight to the bathroom, bawl my eyes out for 10 minutes, come out, and they're like, dude, have you been crying? I was like, bro, man, I had to go in there. Like I got something in my contact, bro. Like right, doing all that. So yeah,
Uh,
it's yeah, man, yeah. So yeah, that obviously that was a plus, and then Mike meeting another legend that I always wanted to meet on my bucket list, Michael Dunlop. Which was yeah, Richard Cooper. I got Harry Truelove and his brother Matt Truelove. Met Danny Webb. It was all my UK boys. It was absolutely amazing weekend. The highlight of my weekend though, honestly, was the whole weekend, the whole sum of the weekend. It was coming to Daytona, us being friends, but being part of the team and part of the crew. The nights that we spent together away after the leathers was off, the bike was put away. That at that time that we got to spend together was everything. The flat track racing, holy fucking shit, right? That
off
was,
the chain,
bro.
dude.
I tell that story. I was like, dude, this one dude coming through that corner, both wheels off the ground sideways. He stayed in that throttle when he hit the ground, dude. I thought for sure he was gonna smack the wall. I was like, what? Yeah,
Dude, I don't think that's the best flat track race I've ever seen in a long time because usually that course is really, really dry. But that rain came in the night before and really soaked the track. It was a good steady rain, and they were even able to keep some moisture in that track. Because I mean, in the years past, like if you weren't wearing safety glasses, you weren't watching the race.
because all the dirt and dust.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so dusty. So like, it was, it definitely was a different track this year. But holy crap, man, they put on a show. They put on a show. It was good racing all around.
it was, dude. And then
And then,
me. Go
being
ahead.
out there with well, being at the AFT stuff, but then being there with Al and having, Sammy out there to cheer for and some of the buddies, it's like, that's like it's not my team, but I feel like that's like Al's, Cody, those guys are like my homies, so it's like that's my team, you know what I mean? Like these are
100%.
our boys.
100%. No, I'm with you. I felt the same way. I got to meet my good buddy Sammy Halbert finally, which was a dream come true. Awesome. I actually bought one of his T-shirts. I'm aware on my next podcast. He was super cool. His wife was super cool. One person that I did want to meet that I didn't get a chance to sit down and talk to with was Dallas Daniels. I wanted to meet him too. Um, but no worries. I'll catch up with him soon.
Yeah, it would be
Um,
cool if like the AFT stuff aligned up with the Moto America stuff more, because like,
yes,
I feel like it just brings more people out to both events.
a bigger crowd.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
at the
Yeah.
same time you're like double promoting it, so I mean, and that'd be cool if that they could line some more up in the future.
100%. And I remember standing in the pits. I think it was during the race. Yeah, it was Saturday, and I'm standing there at the wall in hot pit, and I hear my name be called. I turn around, and it's freaking Sammy Halbert, bro. He's like, "Dude, what's up?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? Like, am I alive? Is this really happening?" It's yeah. We sat there and talked for a good 5-10 minutes, and he was like, "I'm gonna go over here and talk to everybody else I know." I was like, "Dude, again, it's an honor, to
Yeah.
yeah." So it was,
Yeah, they
dude,
ended up
was
pulling a fifth, I'm pretty sure,
yeah, they did,
the Saturday night,
they did.
which was awesome.
It was
You
awesome,
know,
and go ahead.
some people what they don't know, Al built that bike like in a like he was behind too. Everything kept going wrong for him because the dyno broke. So then he couldn't put the flat track bike on the dyno because we're using the same dyno. So Cody and them had to go get the bike dynoed Saturday before the race. They were rolling it out like right before practice. They had to drive like 2 hours, get it dynoed, and then drive back because it had like a dead spot in the middle of it or something. And so like, man, I mean, Al pulled it out like to get a fifth place with all the things that were stacked against them as well. Was like, I mean, really impressive, especially with the talent that's out there. You know, I So it was awesome. It was cool to see them prevail too.
Those guys were them flat track boys are just they're a different level for sure. Them guys are
Yeah.
just like, holy shit, are you kidding
You
me?
know,
It,
Sammy's air vest went off in that first race.
did it really?
Yeah, or it was the second heat race, I think it was. Like I don't know if you've seen it. He had like the bike just bucked him so hard that his air vest went off while he was riding because it yeah it just hit so hard. So it's like, man, that was a violent track. Like those bikes were not in no means settled.
I thought for sure at least 10 of them was going to run into the wall right there coming out of that second corner. I
They
was
were
like,
hitting the wall. They were just
bro,
staying on it.
dude, I'm telling you, it was the most epic thing I've seen in real life as far as racing goes to this day. Right now, it was just balls to the walls, win it or bin it. I'm gonna die for this shit, no
Yeah.
matter what. That's exactly what it was, and you felt it too. And every time they come by, you had to turn your head because you get smacked with the dirt, and it was
Well,
just
I mean, we had probably one of the best seats in the house because how close we were able to get to the track.
yeah,
Because on the spectator side, you had to stand back like 10 feet. So, like, I mean, and then the sound difference between the twins and the 450s, the 450s, you wouldn't think they would be that much louder, but holy
holy
crap, are they
shit.
way louder.
They yes. They got a mean bark to them too, right?
Yeah.
It's vicious almost sounding. And it was crazy because I tell everybody, I was like, dude, we showed up to the AFT. I said Kyle and them and Eddie and all them were there before me. And I walked underneath the bridge, parked on the other side, right, and went in there. And I was waiting on Eddie to come. And man, I just walked up in there like I was belonged in there, didn't just walk by people, just was like just kept it moving. And we snuck into the pits. We just kept on walking by like we're supposed to be there, and boom, there we
Yeah.
are. It's
No, like
crazy.
that's what I did. Like, because everyone's like, oh, if you got the Moto America pass, they'll let you in. And when I first showed up there with Vic and Kyle and all the guys, like I showed my Moto America pass, the guy was like, "You're good," and he wouldn't let anybody with the wristbands in. And I was like, "Dude, like," I like looked at him, I was like, "Yo, that's my whole crew. Like, we're here for the 200. Like, I was told that we were gonna be able to get in this, watch this race." And he was like, "All right." So he let us. He was just like, because I just, I didn't give up. I was like, "Come on, man. Like, we're already here. Like, just let us go." Like, and he was like, "All right." So like, got the whole crew in. And then I went back, and then like my sisters and my nephews showed up. So the kids are free, but I was like, I didn't get their credential because they just showed up, and I was like, I didn't get their credential yet. He's like, all right. So then he let all of them in too. So like, we all got in like without, I
Any
mean,
problems? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I think Moto America and like AFT, like they should give X amount of free tickets away to people that aren't gonna pay, Like just go out in like you're at Daytona. Like go out in front of the Daytona International Raceway and like give some tickets away. What would it do if you gave 100 tickets away? You would give 100 tickets away. That means those people are gonna want other people to come with them if they got free ticket, so then they're gonna sell more tickets. But like just bring the people in. Like everybody I've ever brought to a Moto America or a flat track race, even like not AFT stuff, just the local stuff, they're like, "Oh, I never even knew this stuff existed. This is awesome." Like everybody always comes back, So it's like, let's just get people in there. Like, I know it's about the money, but the people who are going to want to pay the money are going to pay the money. And people who've never even heard about it aren't, So like,
Yeah.
just get them in there.
Dude, I think it'd be a good idea for Moto America to, maybe just one race weekend a year, just have a free event where people can show up on Sunday that don't have a ticket and just bring mass people there to get the crowd going to come in and maybe buy a helmet from KYT or sign up for Bison Leathers or sign up for some track days. And then guess what? Next
Right.
year, they're like, dude, this race was free last year. It was a
Buy some
one-time
Moto
free
America
event.
swag,
Buy
you know
some,
what I
yeah,
mean?
Moto America, and then next thing you know, they pay for the app to watch it for the rest of the year. And the next year, they come back and they buy the tickets and they bring a whole different crew with them, and
For
boom, the
sure.
sport's growing.
For sure.
I understand it's a business, and they rent the track and track fees and insurance and yada yada yada. But what would it hurt to let, let's say if you brought in an extra 5,000 people for free, but think about what those 5,000 people are going to buy there inside Moto America, food wise,
Exactly.
t-shirt wise, make connections, sign up for track days. And they'll be like, dude, this was like the coolest thing ever. Never
For
even knew
sure.
this was there. I'm definitely going. When's the next Moto America race? Oh, it's in 4 weeks' time. It's in Georgia. Shit, that's a 5 hour drive for me. I'm in, right? And then they go online, they buy the tickets, get a camping spot, and boom. Now we got new people in the sport that otherwise would have never came. So,
For sure. I mean, even if you put in like a nationwide like cycle gear, right? Like, I mean, I know not everyone likes cycle gear because they're pricing and it's a corporate business of motorcycles, but I mean, it's actually really good for the sport in a lot of ways because I go to Cycle Gear and those guys like they know what Moto America is, but if you just had it like, oh, you spend X amount of money at Cycle Gear, you get a free ticket. So you're
yeah,
actually like you're
you're
giving
buying the
tickets.
ticket. You're
Yeah.
actually buying the ticket, but they give it to you for free, but they add it into the cost of the product. You just don't know it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Or, and then at the same time you're giving it to somebody who's in the industry,
It's yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of ways of promoting it a little bit differently, I think, but man, I just remember going to Road America when I was a kid, and it was like insane, dude, the amount of people that were there. And
Oh
like
yeah,
nowadays, I would say it's like a eighth of what it used to be.
110%, man. I remember going, watching dude uh Ben Bostrom and Doug Chandler, and I remember when Josh Heron first started, and I remember, dude, yeah, I remember back in the day, dude, watching Nikki Hayden and Aaron Yates and Jamie Hacken and Steve Crevier. I mean, I could sit there and go Larry Pegram. It was absolutely a packed weekend event, and there were so many vendors. I mean, just so much shit to do
Yeah.
even at VIR. I mean, the whole, when you come into VIR, you cross the bridge and you go, and there's two fields. You got the camping on one side, and everybody usually parks right there, and there's some camping to the right. And that would be 4, 5, and 6 going up underneath the bridge. And then you come down that whole big ass empty parking lot right there. Well, that was full of nothing but vendors. And then you go over and get into the hot pit. I mean, not hot pit, but the actual pit area. And there were still vendors everywhere. I mean, it was absolutely insane. Now it's like I show up and it's not a big crowd, right? It's unfortunate. It's busier on Sunday than it is obviously on Saturday and Friday, but sometimes I go to a club race and there's more people there than there is at the Moto America event sometimes.
Yeah, I think the Moto America stuff, well, part of it is honestly it's road racing, right? So it's always better on TV. I mean, like, because you actually get to see the race, like, so one thing that all my family says is they love coming to flat track races because they can see me the whole race,
Yeah.
right? And all my buddies are like, oh, we like flat track because you can see the whole race. Where, you go to especially like tracks like Road America, where it's like you only get to see one corner,
Yeah.
so I think that would help. What would help that would be like more jumbotrons, like if there was more places like where you can have a good spectator area in a corner, but then you can watch the rest of the race on the jumbotron. I think, because if any track that Moto America's at, and they do have the jumbotron, that's where 90, 80, at least 80% of the fans are at, is by
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Unless you have
for
the app, then you can just sit there and pull up the Moto America app and watch, and then as you're coming through, stand up and pull up the video cameras or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for
I mean,
sure.
it's in places that like when we met at Road America last year, it was like, dude, you got to have a set of wheels to get around. Like, if you want to see any other corner besides the ones you either camp at or you feel like walking 30 miles, then yeah, all means, boo boo, that's
Yeah,
you, right?
and then you had to go back up this big ass hill.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's. I love Moto America. I think they're in a great place. We just need to keep growing. Man, this thing's itching my head. We just need to keep growing, man. Bring more people in the sport, outside people in the sport.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the way like I want to go down to our local dealerships. I already talked to one down there and waiting for. I left him my number, waiting for the head guy to call me. So I go down there and sit and chat with him, talk about it. I'd love to go down there for like an hour on a Saturday or one of the most busiest days when a big crowd's going to be there. And when people come in the door talking about track days, hey, you guys ever heard any track days into, VR, corner speed, blah, 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 and try to get people steered in that direction. Come on in, buy a bike, sign up for a track day, and yeah, get some proper coaching. Let's have fun. So,
Yeah, and you know how that is. I mean, I've never, it's very rare that someone does a track day and is like, oh, I'm never doing that again.
unless they just show up and they just have the worst, shittiest time ever. And it does happen. Okay. This is part of the sport that nobody talks about, but it happens. It happens. People show up and they just don't have fun and that'll never come back. Right. But how do we can prevent that by getting more people aware of track days and getting more people aware of what it actually takes to do a track day, like to be
Yeah,
prepared to show up
for
to a track
sure.
day. Safety wire, what you need a safety wire, how do you safety wire, right? uh Obviously the simple stuff, you can't run coolant unless it's AMA sanctioned coolant with it's non-glycol based or distilled water or water wetter, all that stuff that goes along with it. Because I remember my first track day, it was intimidating. I ain't gonna lie, right? I'm sure it was for you. It's anybody because it's the unknown. We have no idea
Yeah,
what's
for
going on.
sure. I
And I
think a,
think, go ahead.
I think part of it is where I have seen some people not enjoy track days because they didn't leave their ego at the door, right?
That
They're
too.
these they show up on the track and they are the fast guy on the street, but when you show up on this track that's 40 feet wide and it that it's intimidating for sure. You don't, I mean, I definitely was that guy. I showed up like thought I was, some hot
Valentino
rider.
Rossi on the street, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was quick on the street. Shit, I should have my first track day. I was like, oh, okay. Like you get humbled real quick.
Yeah, it's not by one slice, it's a whole pie or a couple at a time. You're like, okay, yeah, I need to step up my game. But then at that time, you need to think about really how to elevate your game. It's not the $6,000 exhaust or the $2,500 Owens or K-Tech suspension. It's coaching, proper riding
For
coaching,
sure.
right? Get out there and learn the proper body position and on and off throttle and neutral throttle and turn in points and dude, rollover speed. Dude, listen, there's so much that goes into it that's
Yeah,
involved, but
for sure. But I think the coaches nowadays in general are a lot better than they were 10, 15 years ago in the sense of, I think a lot of back in the day the coaches were like just the good old boys. So it was like, oh, he's my homie, he's a coach, he gets to ride A group.
yeah,
And nowadays it's like a lot of these coaches take it pretty serious. I know N2, I ride with N2 and they take a lot of time to educate their coaches. And like when we do a coaches weekend, so like every year N2 for a thank you for all the coaches gives us a few days at NC Bike free. They provide all the food and but then they do like small YCRS classes if you want to do them. And it's like they pass that now knowledge down even at the baseline knowledge of YCRS, it's very broad and there's a lot that goes into it, but like the beginning stuff, they really help put their control riders in the know of okay, this is what we teach, and then that's the baseline that gets pushed. And nowadays, I think like man, go to track day. Like I mean, I'm biased, of course, because I run into a lot, and I've run with some other organizations, and I'm not in no means saying they're not a good organization, but N2, I mean, it's crazy. You see these new people come in, and they just excel so much faster because coaches are putting in a lot more work.
oh, for sure, and it makes it a better environment, and people want to come back. And you're right, the whole ego thing. Um, it's real big in our sport, especially street riders that are just getting into track days. They think they know it all and they got it all figured out. And I'm fucking got the R1 with the $10,000 exhaust and fucking Dimag rims and blah 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 with the day and easy custom suit and all this bullshit. You go out there and here comes this 14-year-old kid just fucking sucking the paint off your bike, and you're like, wait, what? Um, and I tell people, Eddie, man, you can race on a budget, bro. Buy you a 300, race in the 300 category. You can spend minimum amount of money for the season. You don't have to have a whole lot of work to the bike and your tire bill expense. You might run through 2 sets of tires a season,
Yeah.
right? That's low cost, and we do it for fun. So how much fun are you going to have throughout that? Yeah, it's a 300. People are like, dude, I'll grow a 40 horsepower, 30 horsepower motorcycle. No, you won't. Absolutely not.
No.
And they'll teach you so much more than your 750 or your 600 or your 1000, 110%.
Oh, for sure. You have more time to think. I mean, everything happens at a different rate.
Yep.
Like, man, I started. No one really pushed me into the small bike, and my first track bike was a ZX10. Like my first race ever was at Daytona on a ZX10.
which is crazy, dude. That's insane, right?
And Ryan told me if I didn't hold it wide open on the banks, I was a pussy. Like that was
Yeah.
his pep talk for my first race. Like if you don't hold it wide open on the banks, you're a pussy. I was like, all right. So like that's my first race ever, you know. So like, but at the same time, starting on that smaller bike, or even on, let's say you do have a 600, but you don't need all the fancy stuff. Like nothing's gonna replace time on a motorcycle, man. Seat time. Like I was just having this talk with Birch the other day from Kaye. You know, he was talking about, you know, with his work schedule and everything, it's hard to ride. And I was like, dude, all you need is a TTR. Like, get a TTR, 125. Make a makeshift track. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, just being on a motorcycle, being on two wheels, turning a throttle, using the brakes. Like, put some intermediate tire on it. Don't have it a knobby so it slides a little bit so you learn, you know, and just go ride it as much as you can. And like that alone, like, yeah, it doesn't exactly, you know, equate to, you know, sport bike. Of course it doesn't, but I believe that any two wheels transitions to any other two wheels. So I was like, dude, cheapest way, go buy $1,200 TTR, change your tires, go buy some cheap Shinkos. I mean, it doesn't matter, you know, and just go put as many laps in as you can. And that's what Ryan and I used to do. We used to do in his backyard. I mean, there's a garden shed, it's fenced in, there's a fireplace, like a fire pit, like people are almost always crashing into the fire pit. Like, I mean, it is dangerous, right? Doing it no helmets, but we're sitting back there, lap timer, timing each other, just competing against each other in this. I mean, dude, I don't know. It had to be like 40 by 60 maybe, like fenced in yard. And we're just doing the most, like, make like his poor landlord, when he moved out of there, the backyard was toast because there was just these giant ruts of us just ripping the dirt bikes in his backyard. And like that's how it all started. And then he ended up getting the shop from Vic, and then we made another track there, you know, and to this day Ryan's got a track there and training, and every day we used to show up before work, like before we open the shop, go ride for 30 minutes, just messing around, you know, just having fun and just staying fresh on a bike. You know, you're sliding this thing, you're going through. I mean, at Ryan's shop, it had everything, every type of terrain you could think of. Like one part, like one corner, it's like S's, but it's nothing but tree roots, right? And then there's one part, it's just all gravel. And then you come back into the dirt section, and then it's like there's a big drainage grate you literally are like sliding left by. Like, I mean, if you slide off one edge, there's a huge ditch that you slide into. So it's just like your consequences are huge, right? We used to split this gap. It was between a pack rat Ryan had and the and a tree. And then of course we're like hauling ass, and like we come in side by side and we're like looking at each other like who's gonna let off, dude? And we would split it together. We'd go through together, like just madmen, like just being, you know, super dangerous. Some guys would come out like, "Oh, come ride the track," and they're like, "What? Like this is the track?" Like, yeah, dude, it's. I mean, it's a track.
Let's ride, right? That's what we're here
Yeah.
for. Yeah, dude.
So
I agree.
the amount of time just spent on little bikes, man. I mean, you know, we used to go to the um, Motorcycle Safety Foundation, like where they do their little course, the pavement, and we'd go out there and just set cones up and ride TTRs for hours because that's what we were able to ride, and that was easy. And you know, that's what I was telling Birch, like in the long, I mean, it's a long story, but it's, you know, it's just that time on the bike, man. I mean, nothing can take away from being on two wheels. So, you know, the more time you can, the more money you have to spend practicing or going to track days instead of spending it on the bike or trying to get all this fancy stuff. Like, yeah, you're gonna get to a point where you outride your suspension. That's when you upgrade it. You know, like power is never gonna matter unless you're racing.
Yeah, couldn't said it better myself. Yeah, I got a CRF 100 that I just got a clutch cable, a front brake cable for it. I mean, yeah, it's got drums. Just rebuilt the carb not too about a month ago. I need to put it on, and yeah, I'll be out there riding my little CRF 100 again and just tearing up my, because I bought the empty lot next to me so nobody could build a house right next door.
Oh, nice, perfect fit bike.
Yeah, I mean it's not very big at all, right? But yeah, I can go out there and just do figure eights and
Yeah, you just
whatever,
run.
right?
We
Yeah.
literally just rode it till the grass became dirt.
Yeah.
So we did.
So it's
Yeah, that's where it's
staying
at,
bike
man.
fit's a big deal, right? Because there's no exercise you can do to replicate being bike fit, but being
No,
on a
for
bike.
real. And there's drills you can do, like that's the cool thing you do go do the corner spin or American Super Camp is like they teach you the drills. You just got to take them home. I mean, I can't give away their secrets, sorry, but uh
You have to sign up and find out yourself.
yeah, you got to sign up and find up yourself for sure. And there's, you know, or do your I mean I'll give everyone a little bit of a cheater here. Is if you look up Flat Track Factory with Dale Quarterly, and Dale Quarterly is on Flat Track Factory like 5 or 6 times, and he gives away a lot of good little secrets of how to train and how to just become a better rider. And I mean those videos are go far. Dale's he's gonna tell you like it is, but uh, it's it's some useful information. Anybody looking to learn?
And Dale's such a legend, dude.
Yeah, I think the name of the video is "You Don't." What are you actually doing?
What are you actually doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's there's certain people that tell you things and you automatically grasp it and understand it, right? Somebody else could tell you the same thing and you're like, I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Dale's that type of person where he's a straight shooter. He ain't gonna bullshit you, but he explains it in a way to where most people understand what he's talking about,
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
which is everything.
he's an assassin. I mean,
Dude,
honestly.
he's absolutely an assassin. We got Alec Johansson. What is up, my man? He says, "What's up, Betty?
What
What
up,
about me,
Alex?
Alex? That's
Chopped liver over here.
yeah, man. I'm chopped liver. I get it now. No, I'm just
Alex,
joking.
we'll see you at Daytona next year. I know you're coming.
Yes, I know. I actually had to reschedule mine and his. I actually had Alex and Ryan scheduled for a podcast. I had to reschedule it, so I'm waiting on. Alex, have you and Ron got together and rescheduled that yet? So I'm gonna get both of them down together, which is gonna be a
Yeah, good luck.
fun
Good
time.
luck getting a hold of Ryan.
Oh, Ron's pretty good at answering my texts and calls.
No, I'm not saying text him, but getting some time to that
Get
man.
him to
That man
sit
is
down.
busy. He's
I know
busy.
he
He's
is.
the
I know.
busiest guy, dude.
I know.
He's.
I mean,
I don't think he sleeps.
he got all those kids and wife and does all this other stuff. Yeah, it's
Yeah, he's got 2 shops he's running. He's got 3 boys, and then he's got, of course, Amy, and then you gotta never Logan. You know what I mean? Logan's his fourth son, really.
basically, yeah.
So and then you're trying to get Logan, get Logan up there. I mean, that was my highlight of my weekend, honestly, was, you know, I've I've known Logan for a long time now. I remember when he was just this littlest kid on this Ovale, or almost like, I mean, he was tiny. Logan was the tiniest rider for the longest time. But like seeing him first, weekend in twins riding like he did up front, and like, you have such an advantage when you've been to Daytona before. Like there's a true advantage because you know just everything, the little tricks and all the little, nuances of Daytona and learning the draft, right? That's a huge thing in itself. But for him to show up, never being at Daytona on a bike he's never ridden,
He
like
got seventh, didn't he?
a seventh and I'm pretty sure a sixth.
Yeah. I know he did good. Yeah, he's dude. It's funny because me and him Snapchat each other all the time,
Yeah.
and a lot of his Snapchats are like it's pitch black, right? So, and then I'll do a goofy face or send something back, and then he'll make a goofy face, and then this morning I got up. He sent me one in a solid black, and I just cry laughing. Right? He's a hysterical kid. He's a good kid. He's got a big heart. He's got positive energy, which I really like. But one thing about Logan too, he's quiet. He's a quiet kid, right? Unless he
Yeah.
gets around Demario and
Or he gets
everybody
in,
else.
if he knows you,
If he,
yeah,
yeah,
he'll,
yeah. Well, I noticed when I first started doing the podcast and I started hanging out with him, I'd be like, "What's up, Logan?" He just smile and kind of do like that. Now it's like it's chatty Cathy all the time.
yeah,
But yeah, he's fast, man. Super
he's a
talented
talent.
kid.
He's a
Yes,
talent for
he
sure.
is absolutely a talent.
His dad gives him, his dad,
Everything.
for sure. I mean, man, having Scott as a dad would be like awesome, but like terrible at the same time.
Facts.
Right? You got like, you ain't getting away with shit. That's for sure. But
Nothing.
if you're doing what you're supposed to, he's going to give you every opportunity to be the best that you can be, and he's really done that for Logan in so many ways, and uh, like I said, watching him grow and even Scott grow as a dad, in the motorcycle community or like in racing, how
In the paddock, yeah.
yeah, some of those 50 dads are at like motocross events and stuff, and like just they're putting their whole life into it, so they're super passionate and they uh they get very emotional, and Scott's like he just Logan knows like, hey, I give you what you need to do well, you go out there, you do well, and Scott's just such a good dad and such a good like really bringing everything to Logan to make him as successful as he can. It's awesome to see.
Oh, absolutely. And dude, Scott's such a good dude too, man. He's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. I said, because I went up to him, it was Friday. I was like, Scott, we still got your radio. He says, Simcoe, I ain't worried about you. I know where you live and I know where to find you. And I was like, dude, you ain't got to do all that now, Scott. He just started laughing. It's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Scott definitely, he served in the Marine Corps for a long time, so like
Oh,
if him being out and being more relaxed and it's stepping away from that. He's been out for a few years now, so it's like, man, Scott's like the coolest, dude. He's literally like the coolest, but like don't cross Scott. Like don't cross him. Like I'll tell you that right now. Like don't ever take his kindness for weakness, that's for sure.
yeah, it won't be good on your end. That's for sure. Not a good
No,
outcome.
no.
He's amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. So let me ask you this, dude. What's going on for the rest of the year with Eddie K?
I think, as of right now, we're trying to figure it all out. With doing, I'd like to do a few more Moto America rounds, but we're limited with the Kawi this year since it's not a next gen bike. You only can do 3 rounds, and I'm not sure if that's 3 rounds including Daytona or 3 rounds, of regular season. So kind of got to figure that out first. If I if it does work out, I mean, I would like to do Road America and Mid Ohio, kind of closer to home. My family can come out, and I always like, being able to have the support of the family where they don't got to travel too far. And then Mid Ohio, one of my dad's good buddies has cancer, and he really wanted to make it down to Daytona, but I was like, man, that's a long haul for all that. So I really like to just go to Mid Ohio and kind of dedicate the race to him. And actually, the funny story is we his name is JB. JB, my dad and I went to Mid Ohio when I was like 8 years old. We drove all the way out there for when it was AMA Superbike. We went out there and watched the race, and so to go back full circle back to Mid Ohio with him. Unfortunately, my dad passed away, but and to be racing out there, because being that kid sitting there watching what I never imagined that I'd be racing and doing all this, it's kind of a surreal life I'm living right now. And so I think, going to Mid Ohio would be a really cool like uh, experience, especially bringing him out there because
Oh, for sure.
yeah, my family, I have a lot of family outside of Akron, so um, those 2 rounds, and I mean, I would like to go to VIR and get some redemption on the twin. I had some issues out there with some throttle bodies years ago. It was actually my first race ever was at VIR, my first Moto America race. And so I'd like to go out there on the twin and get a good finish, and that'd be cool, especially VIR. I mean, it's VIR. I'm so happy it's back on the schedule this year. It's literally one of my favorite tracks. I mean, it's the closest one to us when I lived in North Carolina, so we rode there a lot.
Yeah. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from me. So it's definitely a home track for me. Been many miles on VR doing track days. I so happy Moto America coming back. Dude, I really want to try to make Mid Ohio. I just don't think I'm gonna make it this year. Um, I had to replace one for Daytona, right? So my wife's
Yep,
like,
yep.
look, it's okay you do these many races, but don't go over that, Again, because I said at the beginning, I haven't taken any time out since I've been doing this podcast, traveling to all these races to do anything with just me and my wife. So um, I had to sacrifice one in Mid Ohio. I think it's the one that I sacrificed for Daytona, which was absolutely worth it. So I'll be doing Road Atlanta, VIR, and Jersey. Um,
Okay.
this year. So hopefully, if things work out, man, I'll be able to hang out again at VIR
For
and do
sure.
all
I mean,
that.
if we discussed about maybe doing a Road America, if you were able to, if I can get the money together, I'd love to fly out and you got a place to crash, of course. And
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely take you up on that opportunity, man, for sure.
yeah, nothing
Everything's
beats Road
fun, so
America, man. I mean,
it's fun,
it's like
dude.
the beginning, man. It's the beginning for me, for sure. That's where it all began, Road America. It's just going there. It was about an hour and a half drive. Me and my dad used to get on the bike and ride up there every year and, got to meet Nikki and Eric Bostrom and all the boys, Miguel and Scott Russell. Fucking dude, I got all the posters all still, and that's where it all began for my love of motorcycle racing. And
That's
so it's
right.
like just being there. It has a certain every track has like its certain like awe to me. Like Daytona is like the first track I've ever raced at, and then you got VIR, where it's like that was just like the home track, and then you got uh, Road America, where just everything started. So it's like each track has its own sentimental feeling to me, and I'm just excited to be at any of them, really.
Me too, Eddie. Me too. And this year is going to be really good for Moto America. I also got my buddy Luca Allen coming in from BSB riding this year at CW Moto, if I
Okay.
remember off the top of my head. So yeah, I met him at Mid Ohio last year. We had talked about it. I mean, I knew some things were in the work. I just never obviously couldn't talk about them. I could talk to myself about them at home in the wall, right? But
Yeah.
I'm super excited it all come together, man. He's going to be I tell people he's going to be a force to be reckoned with because Luca Allen can absolutely freaking ride. The only thing, obviously, that's going against him would be like you, Eddie, going out there to BSB and ride at the BSB tracks. You got
Yeah.
the talent and the skill to do it. You just don't know the tracks, right? It's
Yeah.
track knowledge is also key. Because there's certain things that tracks little certain tricks and stuff that you can actually do that if somebody don't pay attention and watch you and follow you, they're not going to know about. So
Yeah, for sure. Getting a good toes, it matters a lot when you don't know a track.
110%, right? And then you see them break, you count to three, you want to break deeper, and then you find out, okay, I can't break that later. I need to break a little earlier, or yeah, I need to set my bike up better for this certain section of the track. But again, it's all compromise. I think a lot of people too that I talk to, especially my friends, they always ask me a whole lot of questions, and I'm like, dude, it's all about setup. Like it's and not only is it all about setup, it's compromise. A motorcycle is a compromise. There's never a perfect. It might be it's close to a perfect setup around the track that it's going to be, meaning that it's really great. Let's say at a little bit over half of the corners, but the other section of the track is still not that great, right? You're still fighting in certain areas. You gotta make up with your body position and change your riding style to make up the deficiencies of the bike, whether it's slow to turn in on this corner, or I just don't have the front feeling, or it's doing this, or whatever the case may be. Um, it's but when it all comes together, and I've only had this experience several times. It's like when you're out there doing a track day or club race and everything's like as perfect as it can be, it's like time fucking slows down. It's the craziest thing ever, Eddie. It's like
I
it's
know.
like it's like you're in this matrix time zone, dude, where everything just seems like the slowest motions ever, right? But everything's coming together, and it's like, and then once it's over with, it's like that's it. Like it
Yeah.
goes by like this. It's
That
crazy.
flow state for sure. That's that flow state.
It's one of the greatest feelings ever, and it comes out of nowhere sometimes. It's crazy how it
I
happens.
think that's what the chase is, you know what I mean? Like in
Yeah.
reality, like the addiction to this sport and everything is like you're chasing that flow state for sure, you know? And unfortunately, I've had some bad luck in the last four races, and like so I'm hoping for that flow state again, you know?
Dude, it'll come, Eddie. It'll absolutely come. I'm laughing at Alex because Alex he said, "Oh, come on now, Chris. You know it's all love." I know, Alex. I'm just giving you some shit, bro, because I'm allowed to, right? We're
Yeah,
buddies. I'm allowed to give you shit.
Alex is the next up and comer, man. I mean,
Oh, Alex is awesome.
yeah, he's working hard to try to make it into Moto America, and it's been really cool to see all the guys where like Ryan started the track day thing, and he came back from Arizona, and he was like, well, he was racing at the time, and then he got me into racing and a few of our other buddies, and then it's just grown into such this community where, it's like Owensboro, it's like that's a mecca of talent, right? And I feel like Jacksonville, North Carolina is gonna be that. You got Ryan and his boys coming up, and those kids are rippers, and then you got all this new talent that are, we get these young Marines. That's what it is. It's young Marines with sport bikes, and they're like want to go fast, and taking them and teaching them and helping them make the mistakes we made. Like don't start racing on a ZX10. Like start racing on
Yeah.
like a 400.
Yeah.
So
No, you're
it's
right.
Alex is one of those guys, and it's so cool to see all these guys come up. I mean, Sammy, he's,
Panero,
yep,
yeah.
Sammy's coming, and Bear Stevenson, he's gonna be racing his twin for the first time, Moto America and Barber, and shout out to him with camp with Lejeune Motorsports. They always supported me since the beginning of Moto America, so I really appreciate them. And um, and then you got Ryan and Ready to Ride, who's just been, I mean, shaping these guys and helping so many people become motorcycle racers, and it's so cool to see all these guys come up.
Oh, 100%. That, and everybody, big shout out to SFL Mini GP too as well, out there in Florida and Jersey. They have a huge part to play in the game too. It's good to see people spread all the love around and helping our future grow, right? And Alex, yeah, big shout out to Alex. I always enjoyed our conversations together. Can't wait to sit back down with him. His daughter's absolutely beautiful, amazing, his little kid, and I know
Yeah.
she's busy running around for sure. That's what I told him. I said, enjoy the moments now where you can put her down and rock her and you can go poop or do whatever you got to do. But once she starts walking, bro, all that shit goes out the window. It's like, yeah,
Oh yeah, my sister has triplets, and they're just starting to get cruising. And it's
bro, wide open.
I can only, man. I mean, I have no kids, so it's like I show up there, and it's like I mean, it's truly a zoo. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a circus.
dude, you got these three boys, like one's sleeping, one's crying, one's pulling the other one's hair, crawling across, cruising, just getting into mischief, and like they're just starting to move. So, I mean, give it another month, it's gonna be pure chaos.
I love it, dude. It's nothing like it, man. And you realize once you have kids, it's time's such a thief. People think we got all the time in the world. So I tell Ross, I was like, bro, I'm 45. You're 12. You think you got all this time, and 45 is such a far time away. It's really not. Our life's really this long, right? So,
No, it just keeps getting faster too. Like I was
dude,
just talking
faster.
about this, like
Yes,
the weekend at Daytona, like was such a blink of an eye. Like we got done, and I got back here, and I'm like,
that's it. It's
that was,
over.
it was
Yeah.
so fast, and I've never made like qualifying sessions have never felt so short to me. Like when I've needed more time, like this weekend, I was just like, it's already over. Like I feel like I only did like 6 laps, like. And so it's funny how like yeah, but time definitely has been going. The older I get, I think it's everybody, but the older you get, the faster it goes.
Yeah, dude. I call it the younger we get, the faster it goes for sure, man. Yeah, it's incredible. But again, it's like so. I sat down for my pre-surgery, man. I had to go get blood, and uh, the lady I'm sitting there, and the lady looks at my thing. She's like, "You'll be 46 this year." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I'll be 50 in 2 years. So I got in 2 years I'll be dead." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like her mentality, the way she thought was it threw me it threw me for a loop. And I was like, well, I don't understand what you're talking about. She's like, yeah, the life that I live, all the partying I did, I don't expect to live past 50 and all this. And I was just like, I just looked at her, I said, well, if that's the case, what an honor it's been, right? And she just kind of looked at me confused, like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's an absolute honor. For these 50 years, you got to do what you had to do. And I confused her because I flipped the script on her, right? Like, yeah, it's cool. Go on and go out at 50. What an honor it's been. She just what?
Yeah,
So yeah,
as
she
long as
laughed a
I
bit
just try
about it.
not to think that I'm old. I don't think I'm that old, but
We're not old, man. It's all in your mind, right?
hmm
I might look in the mirror and I see some gray coming in and all that, but it's you got to embrace it. You
for
got to
sure.
embrace it. It's Yeah, look, man, everybody's scared of death and that nobody wants to go, right? But at the same time, I feel like um, I embrace it in a way that it's inevitable, right? So instead of being fearful of it and scared for it, dude, I want to live the best life I can live, put out the best energy I can put out, and be as happy as I can be, right? It's all these. You show up and you get trophies like this Moto America trophy that was actually given to me, right? But all that stuff, all this stuff in this room right here, all this is physical stuff, right? Nobody's gonna remember me by this stuff right here. Nobody's gonna remember Eddie by all the trophies and the wins and all this stuff. But what people are gonna remember about you and me and everybody else, it's the impact we made on people, the energy we brought to the game, right? We made people smile, we made people laugh, we made their day better, or whatever it is we're going through. That's the shit they're gonna remember. You think
For
people
sure.
remember Doug Chandler winning the Motor AMA Superbike champion three times in a row? No, only us crazy nut fans, but for the majority of the normal people, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, and he can walk by them on a normal basis
Nobody
and have
knows
no clue
because
who he
nobody
is.
gives a shit, right?
Yeah,
But what they
yeah,
remember is how he was when he was in the paddock and how
for
he
sure.
treated people. That's what makes a big difference. That's what set people. And that's why when I see like Alicia Spargo going in there, throwing his helmet, throwing his fit, I was like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like you can't. I get it. People get pissed off, nerves, and the emotions, and it's good to have those emotions. But if you're gonna do that, do it in your fucking motorhome
Right.
where there's walls around you, nobody can see that, right?
Who
Because
was the Supercross racer that had that? Did you watch it? It was like 3 weeks ago. It was a really good race. I think it was in Texas, and he crashed like the last corner or something on a
and
pass.
just
Like it was insane, and then just pouted on camera
yeah, yeah.
for like I mean, good 15 minutes. You know, and it was like, dude, come on, like I
Nobody
get
gives a
it.
shit about your poor, pitiful me. Put a pacifier in your mouth and get to kicking, right? Go cry somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's not what you're in a big show. There's no room for that, right?
yeah,
One thing that
for
I do
sure.
see missing in our sport too is, man, where's the where's the rivalries at, dude?
For
I want the
sure.
rivalries back. I
I
want
literally,
somebody to come on camera and talk shit, dude. Be like, Cam Peterson, you are not going to win a race this year. I'm sorry, mate, but forget you, punk. Wait till we
yeah,
line
yeah,
up on a grid this week, right? You just wait till this weekend, dude. We want to see that. I think that's what's missing in our sport.
for
Now, off
sure.
camera, of course, are we all friends? Absolutely, we're friends. But to have that show, that's what people want to see. That's why people look at
Oh,
fucking
no
UFC,
doubt.
dude.
Dude, I
That's
mean,
why, dude.
dude,
That's why
it's a
they're yeah.
drama. I mean, that's why reality TV sells. It's that drama. I mean, it's a subconscious like thing that you like, you know, and like that rivalry. You're 100% right. You know, Moto
Yeah.
America just, you know, I think road racing's always kind of been like they well, especially with Moto America's like they want a cleaner cut look, you know, and it's like sometimes you need that little bit of grunge in there to spice it up. Like, you know, I watched that WWE documentary, and I just watched it like just something, you know, just to see the way these guys thought, and it was like, you know, they purposely had the bad guy and the good guy because it sells. Like
Cells.
you need that because it sells, you know, and like that counterculture of like, you know, the metal militia, you know, or like
The
these
bad boys.
yeah, the guys that are
Yeah.
showing up and that like aren't always following all the
Full of
rules and pissing.
tattoos and cussing
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
drinking beer,
pissing
slamming
off.
them and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all that, you know, and it's like I've been saying this for a while, like, yo, someone needs to start like a counterculture team, kind of, you know, and just to give it that little bit of
Spark.
yeah, yeah, like the
We need that
story
spark.
behind it, you know, like you put the stories behind stuff and then it's easier to sell it, I think, you know, and I mean, think of not that like think about WWE as a whole, like it's scripted somewhat, you know,
Of
and
course.
nobody and it's so entertaining that
Nobody gives a shit.
nobody cares.
No.
They still watch it, you know? So like why couldn't you make more of a story you know, in like these writers? And I mean Pressure to Rise does a really good job. I think it's a super cool documentary and stuff, but it's it's just not enough people watch it, you know? Like if it was on Netflix, it'd be a different story because it's actually a really good show.
It,
Really
it, it,
produced well.
no, you're right. We need, uh, what we're trying to say is we need more Billy Etheridge's in the paddock is what we need
Oh
for
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
right?
I mean, maybe a
110%.
little less nudity.
A little, yeah, the non X-rated version of Billy Etheridge, right?
Yeah.
We just need
Just
the
need the
mouthpiece to go along with it.
yeah.
You're right. Like I love Moto America, and I say it all the time. And Pressure to Rise it is a great series. I just think they're missing a lot of. To me, when you say the word Pressure to Rise, I think of Junior Cup, Pressure to Rise, right? Coming out of Junior Cup, going into Twins, going into Super Sport. I think they need to have a series that focuses on the youth of our sport too, as well as Kayla Yakov and Cam Peterson and Cam Bobier and Jake Gagne, and Josh Heron, which is it's fine, it's good to see, but that's all the series is, right? Bobby Fong and all them, which they're all legends. Don't get me wrong, and it is a good series, but I feel like they're missing elements of part of helping our sport grow too by just focusing on um, those certain individuals versus having maybe the series be a little bit longer episodes, but also incorporating, the X Junior Cup, which is now Talent Cup, and Twins and Super Sport and Super Stock, and getting the people from the backfield on, and again, that they can do it very easily on TV. Bring me and you. I got a kid, you got a kid. Come together and be like, hey, we're going to have you on. Pressure to Rise. But we want to create a rivalry, right? Well, you guys are friends, we get it, but we need to create some type of something that's going to sell, that's going to bring more people in, right? They're like, perfect, we got it, and blah 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 blah, and you ain't never going to win, and this and that. And everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, did you just see what happened, dude? I'm going. This season's going to be off the chain. Them two are just going to light it up, right? And versus, don't get me wrong, everybody giving hugs and great job and all that, which we do need to see, but they're just missing a big part of the growth in my personal opinion, right?
No,
And I'm
I
sure
agree.
expenses and all that has a lot to play with it, but if you just spent, it's 45 minutes now, make it an hour and 30 minutes long, right? It's not that much more, and include the future of our sport too, and create that interesting dynamic between riders, right? Like, who wouldn't want to see, Joe Lamondre and freaking, let's say, Dominique Doyle just be like dot 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 dot, and that rivalry and the energy, right? And then everybody knows they're friends off camera, right? But that just energy. Dude, did you just see what they said to each other? It's gonna be fucking awesome this
Yeah,
weekend,
for real. I mean, like even the Posh Heron stuff back, 200, few 200s ago, like,
Yeah.
that, I mean, that built a lot of hype, and like, so now it's like, okay, people got to put their money where their mouth is, and it's like that helped. That really did. I mean, as much as everyone was, there's always gonna be the naysayers and people are gonna be haters and whatever. But I think that I mean, even the stuff with Chris Ulrich and Heron over this weekend, like
That was good.
TGU, like I mean, dude, people are loving that.
Yeah, that's what, because we need that, right? It's like, I feel like all paddocks across the world has just been too friendly. I mean, look at MotoGP, dude. They're hugging and kissing, and like, which it's great to see. Okay, I love it, but nobody cares. Nobody wants to see that shit. They want to see the rivalry. Like when Valentino Rossi told Sete Juvenile, "You'll never win another race again as long as I'm racing," right? And he did. Like, holy shit. Are you kidding me right now? Or him and Max fist fighting in the stairwell, going up after the podium, man. That's what we need in our sport. We need that
Yeah,
WWE, that UFC. I'm not talking about
hell
putting
yeah,
on gloves. Dude, think about this. How awesome would this be? At the end of the season, whatever race it is, New Jersey, we need to have a boxing ring out there
yeah. And
where
then you
where,
get a
where the
belt at the
riders
end.
get to go in there and just fucking duke it and box. I'm not talking about the normal boxing. It's like big inflatable, just, let's have fun with it, man. Imagine, dude, the TV viewers and the crowds that would draw. Like, coming to the stage, we got Cam Peterson fighting Cam Bobier, blah blah. Who's your money on? It's like, bro, I see you smile. Are you like, dude, that's fucking
No,
awesome idea,
that would be pretty sick. That
right?
I mean, they've in the past they've done things like that to not like boxing, but other things to try to get the fans, in with the riders. I think they might still do it. I don't know if they do, but they used to do karaoke at Laguna.
Yeah, that would be cool. Karaoke
No,
would be
so they used to
cool.
do it. Max Flinders would show up there and kill it.
Oh yeah, I know Max. Yeah, me and Max had conversations about that before. It's
Yeah, he'd show
hilarious.
up there and kill. Toby Cansu came up one time and he sung some country song, and like no one ever knew that this guy had like he was a cowboy in his like past life or something. I swear. He like came up and everyone's jaw hit the ground like holy crap. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And then you had Rocco go up there and flip off the whole crowd.
Right? I mean, bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine, Rocco and whoever, dude, just getting in the box ring, just duking it out. It's
I
all
would love
fun
to
and
see
friendly, right?
Rocco and Dominic Doyle. That'd be a good one. I'd
Dude,
love
that's what I'm
that.
saying, right? And it's all friendly, right? But it'll bring the crowd, it'll bring different hype and them actually talking trash, right? It's all for the show, right? People need to know this is for the show. We know you don't really hate each other, you might, but whatever. But this is the show. This is what we need you to do. And dude, I guarantee a lot of riders would be game for it for sure, right?
Yeah, do some pugil sticks.
Yeah, dude, like Jake Lewis and Corey West. Right, going at it, dude. Just imagine that, right? Troy Heffross and yeah, just bro, like let's go.
Some of those would be unfair advantages.
Well, some of them would be, right? Of course, you try to
You
match
got
them up
Jake
the best you
Lewis,
can.
big old
That's
Jake Lewis.
6'4" with a reach of 5 feet. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the same time, you're not trying to show it turn into a circus, but building that hype and I think just telling riders' story a little bit more. Get them invested in who a rider is and like where they came from is a big part of it. Like that's the one thing that Pressurized does good is you kind of see these guys and even Kayla. I mean, you kind of see where they're coming from in their lives. I think Supercross does it really well, like where they do, oh, we're going to, you know, show up at Eli Eli's house, his home track. We're gonna film him, talk about his life, what he does on a daily basis. What's his life about. Like put the personality behind the helmet. I think that's something that Josh Herron does really well.
100%.
And I think Brandon does it pretty good too. But I think if Moto America as a whole pushed it more, it would definitely because like then you're really cheering for these guys. You're cheering from them, not just you're cheering for their whole life. They've all the things they've overcame, and then on top of it, being a motorcycle racer in this day and age, it's not. It's the only professional sport that most people are not making money. Like you're paying to do it. Unless your sponsors are helping you along the way, but it's not like I mean, most riders aren't making big paychecks. Like it's not like NASCAR where if you're on that grid, you're making pretty good money.
Yeah. It's no, you're right. And it'd be something along the lines that I would like to see is you go to two certain teams, right, in the paddock, whatever, and be like, hey, we want to start a rivalry. This is going to help the sport, blah, blah, blah. We want Carnes and Rodeo Racing to be involved. I want you guys to talk trash and hype each other up and put the whole drama to the baby's mama out there and all this shit. Just and bring that crowd. People would just flock like cockroaches
Oh
straight to
yeah,
it,
for sure.
instead of all this. Oh, hey, how you doing? Good job, good show. Give each other hugs and get off the podium, right? Which is again, it's fine. I loved it to see that, right? But um, we need
I think
excitement.
Moto America kind of holds everyone back though. I mean, look at the whole water bottle incident. You know what I mean with SDK and Hayden Gillum. Like,
They
I'm
wanted to
pretty
kick his dad out for that.
I'm pretty sure they did. I think he was banned for
Yeah,
like X
for
amount.
a while. Yeah,
And it was like I get it, but at the same time,
it was
like
awesome to see. Don't bullshit, right?
it
It was
was no,
like,
it was
bro,
awesome to see. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it was cool, and no one got hurt. I don't think
bro.
anybody should be beating the crap out of each other, but at the same time, it wasn't like I can see, it's not right, but it kind of holds people's um anger back because of the punishment. It's not like you're gonna. It's just like nowadays, you can't get in a good old street fight no more. You're definitely going to jail.
No, 110%. Yeah, or somebody wants to pull out a gun and shoot you.
Yeah,
All
or going to court,
yeah,
for getting sued or something. So I'm not saying that in Moto America, but like in general, it's just it ties everyone's hands to be able to show that passion sometimes.
It would be good for our sport to have that. The devil angel advocate, 110%. It's good for any sport. I don't give a
The
shit
only
what sport
For
it is.
sure, the only issue that you run into is where do you draw the line, right? So like, what is acceptable and what is not? Cussing someone out on TV, or it's not supposed to cuss, you know what I mean? Or, like, so I think that's where the struggle in it is that I
Oh,
mean,
for sure.
I think Supercross, like the way they do it is really good, and those guys get mad at each other and shove a little bit, and you don't see them getting banned or nothing crazy, it's like they leave them just enough untied where you can still kind of get the passion behind it.
You did bring up a good point. Like, how do you set certain boundaries around? Like, I don't expect somebody to go out there and full f you, you big pussy, and blah 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 blah. But I do want to see. You know what? You're just not gonna win today. Stop being an asshole, or blah blah blah. Why'd you pull that hard pass on me in there? You stupid. Blah blah. But don't cuss like we want to. But there's ways to do it and ways to hype it up, right?
Yeah,
To
yeah, yeah.
to make it
Like, oh, you
acceptable
want to
across
pass me
all
like that? I
boards.
got you tomorrow.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
simple
yeah.
stuff like that. You
Yeah,
keep when it comes to that, I think the simpler it is, and the shorter you show it, the more hype's going to be around it. Instead of constantly showing it and just doing this all the time, right?
hmm
A short little 10-second clip, blah blah blah, blah blah, and the team owner, blah 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 blah, and then come up with an edited video. Stay tuned. Road America coming up next. Rodeo Racing and Carnes Performance, and the gloves or something, right? Just a big spark, and stay tuned. They're gonna battle out to the death. Last one dies or whatever. It just there's definitely ways to do it to where it's kid friendly too, so to speak, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but I guess all the point me and Eddie are making is we need that rivalry in our sport again.
Yeah, we need the passion behind it. We need the truth, in the sense of like
It's not
it's
always
not
roses.
no, and it's not easy. It's I mean, and getting to where everyone is, and you know, it's just it's a struggle.
Tempers
I mean, it's
flare.
not easy for anybody.
No, it's not, and under certain situations, especially, and people don't realize, like Eddie, you might go out and you might have the best day ever, and Cody might go out and have the worst day ever, but you don't know him and his wife got in this big old fight. Now he's taking it out on you on the track and be a little bit more aggressive. You guys come in, you're on camera, you're like, dude, what the fuck was that about? He's like, oh, you slow asshole, stay out of my way. I'll tell you what, if I catch you out on the track again, it's over, and you're just like, well, blah blah blah. Just keep it simple like that. And like, oh shit, did you just hear what happened? And it goes around the paddock, right? That everybody's glued to the certain type of track. When you guys go out, and you might go out there on the grid and be like, but not the middle finger, and he might like that. And they're like, oh shit, did you see what just happened? Like just simple stuff like
For
that, right?
sure. I think that's going to happen a lot in Twins this year, man. I mean, the talent up there, and you got all these guys moving up and moving around, and I think the Twins is going to be absolute riot this year. You got Sean up there. Sean's got his bike dialed in, and Dominic, and you got Gus, and I mean, not Gus, sorry. You got, all the Carnes bikes, and Matthew Chapin, and man, I mean, Logan Cunnison. I mean, like the list just goes on and on and on and on. And Daytona's uh, not the track to be like, oh, everyone's, you had the few groups, but like, I mean, you go to Barber where it's not the horsepower, the bikes aren't going to run away from each other on the back straight. It's a whole different story.
VIR
It's
too, right? It's
yeah.
like, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, honest, it's going to be insane this year.
It's I think it's one of the most stacked class we have in Moto America for sure is the Twins Cup, right? I said that about Talent Cup last year, but since they did away with the Talent Cup and they're bringing in the Junior Cup, now it's the Talent Cup. It's going to be different for sure.
Oh, for sure. I think there's only 12 riders or something.
that's what I keep hearing. 12 or 13 from the 30 we had last year in Junior Cup, right? That's a
Yeah, yeah.
huge difference, man.
And a lot of them stepped up to the twins. So I mean, you got all the, I mean, these kids are getting on real motorcycles now. You know, like the Aprilia is a real motorcycle. It's not, oh, this street bike that we're gonna make into a race bike. You know, we're like taking this Ninja 400 that was never supposed to be raced a day in its life and turning it into a race bike. Like these are real motorcycles now. You know, these are the Aprilia is like real trellis frame and like it's a real bike.
It's a weapon. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
weapon. I would, I think a lot of that too got to come down from the manufacturers, Eddie. I think they have a role to play in wire sports the way it is right now, kind of stagnant, right? I think if Kawasaki and Yamaha Suzuki come out and built a proper junior cup bike and a proper twins cup bike, you have a street version of it, and then you have the race bike version of it, right? Parents that want to go racing obviously will buy the race bike version. It's a little bit more expensive upfront cost, but you don't have to buy the body work and the clip-ons and the rear sets and blah blah blah. This bike comes with all that, the Brembos and all that shit on it already, right? But to come out with different, again, have a proper 300 or a 350, and then have a proper twins cup and a 600.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
That's just my thoughts.
oh, no doubt. So, like I'm saying, you're getting these kids off these essential street bikes, you're putting them on real motorcycles, they're going to be hauling, they're going to be
It
flying.
changes the game, right? Yeah, definitely. I would love to see Talent Cup be bigger this year, but I don't know. I haven't seen any releases on the names that's actually going
Well,
to be in Talent Cup. I know one of my buddies is definitely going to be in Talent Cup. Um, Derek, he's going to be there. Sanchez King, he's Talent Cup this year.
okay.
I don't know if my buddy Yondel's going to be in Talent Cup. The last time I talked to him, he was trying to work out something in the twins or the 600s. I know he's been out there breaking track records on that Ducati and the BMW 1000. But last time I talked to him, he said he might be just doing the Talent Cup 2 again this year. So
Yeah, I mean it's hard when you make it, I mean, substantially more expensive. It's hard to bring those guys. That was the one thing about the Ninja 400. I mean, the class you're not really building the engine, so essentially to get into it, it's really not super expensive, you know. And now it's like I don't know how much that new Kramer bike is, but I know it's not
it's like
cheap.
24 grand.
Yeah, and that's not even including spares.
No, that's just one
You
bike.
know,
You need more than
yeah,
one bike, right? You're going to have a backup bike.
yeah, and then you need spare clip-ons and rear sets and wheels and all the,
Dude,
you know,
so you did your 70 grand in the program off the
yeah,
jump before you even get started, right?
yeah. I mean, it really cut the class for the young kids. It's unfortunate because I mean, the Ninja 400. I mean, they're a dime a dozen too. You know, you could go throw that thing to the weeds and it's not gonna kill your bank account to go rebuild it and get it ready for the next weekend.
Yeah, because you can buy a salvage title one for $1,000
Yeah,
all
and
day
I
long,
mean,
right?
and
Like
there's parts everywhere for these things. Like everyone,
everywhere,
I mean, even you don't, if you don't even own a 400 and you have a shop, you have 400 parts.
laying around. What do I do with
Yeah,
these? Right? You buy 400 and put them on there and go racing. That's what you do. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see, like I said, a specific built 300, which would be your talent cup, right, so to speak, or 400, and then yeah, move up. At least for the first two classes, make it. I said this last night on the podcast, man, where feasible that your income between mom and dad are 100 grand or less, because that's a lot of the people in the United States right now. So how do you expect to have somebody spend 70 grand off the jump on two bikes and some spares just to get into it? And that's no fees, that's no travel, that's none of that.
yeah,
Um,
for sure. I
you
mean, on
weeded
top of
out
it,
a shit ton of people coming to Moto America.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, even look at the grid for the 200 this year compared to the year past. You know, it was almost 50% less, and so the money, you know, I mean, everyone's tight on money. I mean, that was part of us coming into this, you know, race this year for the 200, you know, being tight on money and trying to make sure um, everything worked out. Thank God. I mean, I couldn't have done it without the sponsors I had, you know, Triguana and Hometown Orthodontics, Lejeune Motorsports, you know, Ready to Ride. everyone, KSR, like all these guys showing up, and even Al at Racing Unlimited, like if we had to pay for a lot of the stuff that we did and the machining or anything, I mean every aspect of racing, like if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't not even gone at all. So, um,
100%.
and I know that's a struggle for a lot of a lot of people nowadays,
I
you
mean,
know,
very much so.
especially in the racing community,
Yeah, I mean, it is. You know, we'll get there. I see our future is bright. We just need to. Yeah, we just I quite often think like, how can we grow this sport with the tools we have right now instead of bringing any outside tools in? Right there, there's got to be certain ways we can grow it. And then figure out a way to bring outside sponsorships. I mean, Netflix, Colgate, Target, blah blah blah. Dude, this is what I tell people: if we have OnlyFans, why not bring Marlboro back? Why not bring Camel
right?
back?
I
Right,
literally said the same thing. I was like, why can't we have an alcohol sponsorship? Like, there's
bro.
so okay, so in Wisconsin, there's so many distilleries and breweries, like like easily could get some sponsorship from them, you know. There's so much of it, and you're right,
Why not? Everybody knows what OnlyFans started from. And let's, dude. I mean, let's just be honest. Everybody's into sex, dude. That's human nature. That's what we think about all the time. We're guys, man. Come on, man. Let's just be honest, right? But taking the sex out of OnlyFans and turning it into a social media platform was smart on their end too, right? As well, bringing out the sponsorships. But again, go along with it, dude. Bring back cigarettes. Just because Miguel Dumel was around a Camel Honda does not. You didn't see him stand there on the side of the corner smoking cigarettes, right?
Uh,
Um, but it paid the bills. It made the circus go round, and it was rich and vibrant back then, right?
mhm.
Same thing with alcohol. It's bring it back, man. It's there's alcohol companies, major players that have non-alcoholic drinks. You can go buy non-alcoholic Guinness, non-alcoholic Stella Ortiz. So why not sponsor the non-alcoholic brands on the motorcycles? What's wrong with
Oh,
that?
that's a pretty smart idea.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
if why not? It's not going to get you drunk. You get the taste of the alcohol, the taste of the liquor, or whatever. It just don't get you buzzed. So what's wrong with that? It's like Kool-Aid. The same thing to me is Kool-Aid, right? You have Kool-Aid that's not poisonous, Kool-Aid that is poison. Don't drink
I
the
just
bad
wonder.
Kool-Aid, kids.
I've always wondered this is like, why hasn't Moto America ever got like a major energy drink sponsorship, right? Like
Dude,
I'm sure there's
me
some
too.
logistics or something behind it, but like you got Monster Energy Supercross, right? And like anything, for God's sakes, Red Bull puts their name on a derby, downhill derby, and 25,000 people show up to it.
Yeah, I mean, but dude, my good buddy Kyle Kesey said the same thing. Bring back Camel and Marble. Kyle, I'm with you
Yes,
110%,
sir.
man.
Heck yeah, I
Um,
want I want some of those cool Joe. What was it? Smoking Joe?
Smoking Joe. Dude, I
Yeah.
have I have an original Smoking Joe 10 with Miguel Dumel's RC45. It's got a drag car, it's got a NASCAR, but it's a purple and yellow 10,
What?
all camoed out with all the original matches in them. It's got separate matchbooks in them.
Heck yeah, I
It's
remember that. My
dope,
dad
dude.
used to do that. You get the Camel Bucks in the back of the cigarette
It,
packs.
you know,
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
mean, dude, we need money in our paddock to grow, right? We don't have very
Sure.
much funding to go around. It's like I explained to my buddy the other day. I was like, dude, imagine NASCAR as a whole going to the same little fishing pond, fishing for the same sponsorships. There's our sponsorships are only this big, and they only got enough to give to a certain amount of people, right? So how do people that's left behind got to go out and find it other ways outside of our paddock, right? Because within our beautiful circus, everybody seeks the same door-to-door sponsorship within that circus, right? But it's never going to grow if we don't bring the outside sponsorships inside, people
For
that are
sure.
into motorcycle racing, that we can turn them on to motorcycle racing and want to be a part, and what benefits we can give back to them for donating $50,000 or $500,000 or whatever it is, right? This is what we'll give back to you. This is what you can expect. You do this, and it's I hate the word sponsorship. I call it friendships, right? So it's building outside friendships, bringing them in. Now with social media and AI, dude. There's so many ways. Again, non-alcoholic beer and liquor. Bring them on as a sponsorship. It's non-alcoholic, right? Think about how much money they have, dude. They sell freaking, dude. They can donate a couple $1,000,000 to Moto America, right? Like start a team, Team
Yeah.
Budweiser or whatever, non-alcoholic, blah blah blah. A duels, right? Imagine a duels sponsored in Moto America. I mean, just yeah, we need
I
United
think what Moto
Airlines.
America should do is invest into social media marketers that help riders market themselves better, right? So like, um, I mean, if you even look at some of the top guys, like their social media isn't that great, They're and unfortunately, when you're going to sponsors nowadays, like that's what they're asking is, okay, well, what's your social media presence? Like that's more important than a lot of things nowadays, and I think of where a lot of sponsorships are coming in is because they just believe in the rider, right? Like I would say most people that have ever sponsored me, it's not because they're getting a return on their investment in the sense of money, or marketing, it's more or less they believe in the rider and they like the experience and they like to hear the stories and I think that that's where a lot of sponsorship comes from. So building a good social media presence, and I'm in no means like, man, I'm not good at social media. I'm the worst. Like I haven't even made a Daytona post yet. Like so I'm like I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm saying in the sense of, you know, like I think about like Dominic Doyle. Like dude's a freaking beast and he's like such an amazing rider. But like he does not nearly have this social media following because he's the same way as me. He just doesn't really care about social media, right? So then, but like if you had somebody that, certain okay, top 10 riders all get like an advisor or like help promote them, right? Help promoting the rider would help promote the series and in turn would bring more money. Because like
No,
look at like the Axel Hodges, who's like a freestyle motocross guy. Like he's a monster, and but his social media is so good. Or even the Deegans.
oh yeah, it's that's social media to me is a double edged sword. Like I'm absolutely a slave to it, and I can't stand it at times. But it's you said it, dude. It's they don't give a shit really. They do care about your results, but it's not as impactful as I might have 3 million followers. You might have 100,000 followers. You finish second in the championship. I'm seventh. They're going to give me a bigger contract, and they probably won't sign you up just because sponsorships be like. I know every time he makes a post about Odell's alcoholic less beer, non-alcoholic beer, we're going to get 1 million plus viewers on it, new followers, and people might go out and buy it, blah 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 blah. And was saying that, even the smaller dentist people around the area or Kroger or whoever it is, you get a couple $1,000. Say, hey man, we want you to come out to the race, spend the weekend. You get to come in the pits and be on hot pit and get to see the action up close and personal. And then they come and they see it and they're like, holy shit, this is absolutely amazing, dude. I want to step up my sponsorship program, right? Like here's blah 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 blah, and then it all starts from there. I like to think out loud, and because I really want to see our sport go back to where it used to be, where people were making money in our sport, right? And people wanted to willing to do those double mortgages and be $100,000 credit card debt that you'll probably never pay off, and your credit score is absolutely fucked from here on out, and all this shit, right? Just to go. So,
Yeah, for sure. No
dude,
doubt.
I've talked to people where they've divorced their wife over this shit. I mean, dude, for real, it happens, man.
No, I hear you.
It's but that's the love and passion we have for our sport, man.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, for sure. I think as a whole, the sport is growing and doing a lot better. But man, people just, you don't have these young guys going to buy 600s anymore, like shit. Everyone when I was 18, 19, they were like 20 years old. We were going to buy brand new street bikes, and I feel like kids just aren't doing it anymore. It's all about being safe.
well, that's because nobody, dude. You go to our local dealership, dude. There is no freaking sports bike on the showroom floor.
Oh, really?
No, dude. The last time I went was several months ago. They had not one sports bike on. I take it back. They had a used Hayabusa. They had a couple Groms, which is not a sports bike, but the majority of it was dirt bikes, side by sides, and four wheelers and freaking slingshots, dude. By the way, slingshot's not a fucking motorcycle, people. Your three wheelers are not fucking motorcycles.
Quit
Stop
calling them
advertising them as motorcycles. Stop getting people to get a fucking motorcycle driver's license for them because there's no
The
need.
guy
It's
with
got
the guy with the Chinese scooter has more of a motorcycle than you with your slingshot.
110%. He paid $400 for the whole ride, right? So let's just, yeah, it's we need to get away from that. But I think a lot of that has to do, man, is that um you go to our local dealerships. Back when me, you, and Kyle and everybody was growing up, dude, you go to dealership, there were ZX7s, GSX-Rs, fucking dude, CBR 900RRs, 954s, RC51s, R1s, blah blah, Thunder Aces, and all that shit, dude, everywhere. Right? They barely had any four wheelers, and what the fuck was a side by side back then? Right now, everything is again, except for a Eurosports. We got a dealership down here. They're Indian Ducati dealership. And Trump, you go in there, they have a couple, crotch rockets, sort of speaks in there. But again, even in there, the majority of it's touring bikes, right? And
Yeah.
and off-road bikes. It's hard for kids and young adults to go get on a sports bike unless you buy a used one. Because again, there's no dealerships around here where you walk in the showroom floor. Oh yeah, we got a couple R1s, we got a couple ZX6Rs and ZX10s and R6s and CBRs and all this. It's non-void and non-existent, at least here in Roanoke, Virginia. So where are they going to go buy one?
Right. Well, I also think it's all the stories of the years past, like think about the last 20 years of motorcycles, right? Or even, 25 years. We brought out these bikes with a lot of power, right? Making a lot of power. So everybody knows somebody that's, oh yeah, I rode a motorcycle once, but then I was on this, F4I and I wheelied it over and crashed my brains out and never rode again. It's like, or, my cousin went out on this FZR and crashed and died, and then it's like, now it's like, it's the reaction I always get when I go to the doctors, right? And especially if it's a motorcycle related injury, it's like, they're like, they look at you like you're a madman for even riding a motorcycle. Like that's the dumbest thing you could do. Like that's the way they look at it. Like some doctors are like, you have a death wish.
Yeah, I did that when I went for my MRI a month ago, whenever it was, for my wrist, and the dude comes in there, we're talking, and I ask everybody, "Do you ride?" He's like, "No, I used to." And then he asked me what happened to injury. I was like, "Oh, it's a whole motocross injury, right?" He's like, "Yeah, them bikes are so dangerous." I was like, "Well, you just said you used to ride, right?" And all of a sudden it changed. He's like, "Dude, I had the best time ever riding." I was like, "Well, you just said you had the best time ever riding. How come you don't ride no more, right?" "Oh, I just don't have the time." Well, you can make the time to go out there and ride, right? You said you was the most happiest and you had so much fun, dude. Take an hour out of your day and go cruise the Parkway. Go grab your bite to eat and a beer, non-alcoholic, right? And ride home or whatever, right?
You're really pushing this fucking NA
Dude,
shit,
you
dude.
like that, don't you? Yeah,
Dude,
dude, it's a great
everybody.
idea.
NA or die, all right.
NA or die, baby. Let's go. So, yeah, it even when I go, I talk to them like, or I wear my jacket and my shirt. They're like, "What's pin to gas?" I'm like, "Oh, I have a podcast interview motorcycle race." "Oh, that's such a dangerous sport." And then as soon as I say that, I completely change it around. Well, what's so dangerous about it? Well, what do you think? Have you ever experienced? They're like, "Have you ever ridden a bike? Have you ever?" No, no, no. I just know, my parents would never let me. And it's the same story, right? My mom and my dad and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, you're an adult now. Don't you want to be free? Like, the skydiving is dangerous too, but you just told me you went skydiving. What's the difference? You have
Right.
no control in the air at all, but one lever with a chute. A motorcycle, I got all kinds of controls, right? I can.
Right. Well, it cracks me
So,
up even more is people thinking racing is like dangerous, and I'm like, it's so much safer than riding the street.
bro, they just don't get it, right? To me, they're uneducated. Those are the people that we need to educate more. We need to uh that's when we really need to put on our game face and change their opinion and their mind totally around, right? Whether if I'm gonna ride my bike, I never been on a bike, man, jump on the back. Let me take you around the neighborhood. Don't do nothing
Right.
stupid. Don't go out there and try to do a $130 with a brand new guy or girl on the back, man. Just cruise around. Be like, dude, oh my God, this is so much fun. Okay, and bring them home, put them on my CRF 100. Hey, dude, this is boom, boom, boom. Bye, see ya, and they'll
Yep.
come back and be like, "Holy shit, I need one of these." Right now, you just changed the world upside down. Now they're with it. Is it still a dangerous sport? What fucking sport isn't a dangerous sport, people?
Yeah. Football.
It's all in the eye of the beholder. Is
Right.
what it
For
is, right?
sure.
So yeah,
Well, at the
football
same
to me.
time as it goes back to, like you said, that education. So like starting them out on a little bike and learning it, how many people get on a motorcycle and really have no clue what they're doing, or the amount of riders that I've known, like, man, my dad's buddies and stuff, they've been riding the same way they've ridden for 40 years. It's like they've never learned or grew more in riding skill. It's just that in reality they've survived.
Yeah, yeah.
You
They're they're
know,
they're, they're comfortable.
Yeah, and what I, when I bring a new customer and I try to educate them, that's like something I try to do, educate them in some way, shape, or form with riding, right? Whether it's, hey, the way you're going to save the most money in riding is maintaining your chain and keeping air in your tires. Like two of the easiest things, you'll save a
Ever.
lot of money riding, right? And then, but the amount of people, what I try to explain to them is most time when people crash, it's because they're uneducated or their equipment is improper, right? So, like, if you can keep, always keep growing, keep learning, and make sure your machine is maintained and up to par, like, it really takes a lot of the variable of the danger out of it.
100%. Speaking of that, we had this guy moving down the street. He's cool. They just had a baby. He ended up buying he sold it now. It was a 954. Uh, I rode down. If you leave out of my driveway, you go up the hill, you come down to leave the neighborhood. There's a church right there on the left, and they were out there in the parking lot. You know me, anytime I see somebody on a bike, I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm Simcoe, blah, 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 blah." And I'm looking at the guy's bike. I was like, "Man, how long you had this bike?" He's like, "Dude, I literally just bought it." And I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Is this your first bike?" He's like, "Yeah." And it was hard for me not to be like, "Well, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. That's not supposed to be like that." Blah blah blah. I said, "Look, when you get an opportunity, I live right at the end of the street. Come by. I'd really like to take a better look at your bike and maybe educate you on some things." He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." He brings it over there, and I'm like, the dude was missing two of the 4 or 6 engine mounting bolts, and dude, it was just like, dude, it was
What kind of bike was it?
a 954 RR. You could totally tell was not taken care of. The swing arm was 19 million miles long, and it was just, dude, everything was not right with it. It was totally an unsafe motorcycle. So much so to where the other day he rode it. Well, the day after, the next day he took it out, rode it. He was going to work, and he calls me, and he's like, "Hey, um, my swing arm axle nut fell off the bike," and I was like, "That's supposed to be torque. Like that's never supposed to happen. Like what?" Like I don't, I can't do nothing. I'm at work right now. There's nothing I can do. So he ends up trailing her back, and I'm like, the best thing you can do for you is sell this bike. And I don't mean sell it to somebody the way it is. Bring it over here. Let's at least get it safe, and then you can sell it and hawk it off. So he obviously had to dump some money into it to make it proper. Hit it by engine mounting bolts, and dude, the chain had this much freaking slack. The freaking rear sprocket hardly had any teeth on it. I mean, dude, it wasn't even a line. You could tell the rear tire was sticking in the swing arm because they had one adjuster out here, one block, and the other. It was like you could totally tell whoever had that bike
Totally setting yourself up for failure,
110% to where I don't even want to ride no more. That's what I was preventing from the get go, right? So I educated him. I got it to where it wasn't unsafe, and he sold it. But he hadn't bought another bike yet. Me and him was talking about it the other day. He's looking um, for a CBR 600RR. So, but it's hard because he just had a baby. I said, "Welcome to the club."
Shoot.
Now
Yeah,
your
man.
wants need to be put on the side. You need to buy diapers and pacifiers and all that shit.
For sure. You gotta go buy some diapers with that Honda money.
But I mean, again, it's stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
and
doubt.
dude, Kyle's right, dude. This is another good point, dude. And no, most riders don't even know how to work on their own bikes, right? And that's something that I was showing him the easy stuff, dude. Your tire pressures. This is how you properly adjust your chain. This is
Yeah, for
all the
sure.
stuff that this is how you properly change the oil. This is how you change
I'm
your
not gonna
radiator
throw
fluid.
anyone under the bus, but I've hung out with a few young racers in their 18, 19, 20-year-old racers and they don't know how to do very simple shit. And I'm like, it's because they've always had, someone doing it for them. And it's like, it's crazy. They ride at their level, but they don't really understand any of it, but
It's
it's
crazy.
crazy.
It
Yeah.
is because I feel like if you know how to maintain your motorcycle, then you know what's going on with it. Then you
Yeah.
understand when you ride it what it's actually doing beneath you and why it's doing what it's doing beneath you, right? And then when
Yeah.
you come up with the issue, you know what areas to look at, and dude, YouTube's out there. People use it to your advantage, right? Like I tell everybody, hey, you want to learn how to work on your bike, bring it by the shop. Get your
Yeah.
bike, bring it by. I'll show you how to do all that shit. We'll make a weekend out of it. We'll cook out. We'll drink some non-alcoholic beer. We'll have fun with it, right? You like that, don't you, Eddie?
Dude, you and the NAs, man.
Yeah,
We should have
dudes.
got some.
Dude, we should have next time we will for sure.
Yeah,
So
you're right, dude. I mean, you're 100% right when you do that. And it's like, the funny thing is their perception of, right, we're mechanics. So it's like, man, that's easy. Like, so it's like such a blink of an eye, easy thing. But like, what I've had to learn sometimes, is like they don't think like me. Their
yeah,
brain isn't the same. So trying to break it down into for them to understand it, and um, it's awesome though when they do get it, and then they're like, then they want to like they get two things, and then they want to learn more,
yep,
and
they
then they want
do.
to learn more, and they want to learn more, which is
I mean,
super awesome.
simple stuff like changing your brake pads is an easy job. Swapping brake lines out, it's an easy job. People look at it and they get I don't want to say frustrated, but they don't think they can ever do it because they don't even know what a 10 millimeter open end wrench is or any of that, right? But that's where the education comes in. It's simple. All this is it's very simple things to do. And you're right, it's easy for us because we grew up doing it and we went to school for it and yada 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 and been taught. The ones that don't, some people they learn in a different manner, in a different way. It's like kids in school, that's why our school system's failing. You got one teacher in there, but not all kids learn the same. So the teacher's got to find a way to where each student of theirs is going to shine to the best of their ability, which is the way you approach them, the way you talk to them, the way you explain things. Right? It's like that in motorcycles too, as well. You just got to find a way to approach them on their level and explain it to them on their level where they really understand it. When that light bulb goes off, it's like their whole world been flipped upside down and now they understand it and they're excited about it. They want to go out and buy a toolkit. Hey man, I'm thinking about buying this toolkit. What do you think about this for a starter kit? Yeah, absolutely. It's a perfect starter kit, blah blah
For
blah. And then
sure.
and it all goes from there. As far as the other jobs go, that's a little bit more complicated. But I tell people like this, a motorcycle is just a tool. Valve adjustments are easy. Okay, they're really not that complicated. Motor work, taking the motor out, split the cases. You obviously got to know what you're doing when it comes to that. But your normal maintenance, as far as valve adjustments, and whether it's shim under bucket, shim over bucket, screw and lock nut, you know, uh, flushing your radiator, dude. Putting on a dude. You know how many of my friends right now don't even know how to put on a chain? And they've
Yeah.
ridden for years. Don't even know. They
Oh
call me
yeah.
all the time. Hey man, I need a new chain of sprocket. Okay, we'll order a chain of sprocket. I'll show you how to put it on. They just don't just
Yeah,
just don't get it
it's so
right.
funny. Yeah, because my buddy Tom, like, he's came a long way. I've taught him a lot. He hangs out in the shop a lot, and he's always wanting to learn. But like sometimes he'll bring me something to me, and he'll be like, "Oh, it's gonna be a big deal," or like, thinking, I'm like, "Nah, it's gonna be like, I mean, take like
This
an
is
hour and a
okay.
half."
Yeah,
You know what I
this
mean?
is
Like,
easy.
it's
Yeah,
not gonna be, it's thinking it's a big issue, and it's like, it's just how you look at it, and wanting to learn. So for sure,
it
like,
is.
I think educating yourself in any form of motorcycling is like the Art and Zen of Motorcycle Mechanics. Like, short, easy read, super fast, but like really put some things in perspective. And I think like that just makes you, learning more about suspension makes you a better rider.
100%.
Learning more about why the tire does what it does and the way physics works. There's like the Ed Bargy thing. Like, you go to Ed Bargy's school, he breaks down the physics of the motorcycle. Um, you know, Trying different disciplines of motorcycles, whether it's motocross, flat track, supermoto, road racing, any of it, or even doesn't even have to be a motorcycle, bicycles, right? Different forms of two wheels is they all translate one way, shape, or form to make you a better overall rider. So the more sometimes you can learn too much as a mechanic because you can be riding and be too much in your mechanical brain than in your rider's brain, which is hard sometimes. But I think just learning every aspect of motorcycles makes you a better rider.
110%. It's and Kyle said it. He said the value of YouTube. I had used the climber manual and got it wrong a few times to learn, as well as my pop showing me how I got it wrong. LOL. I mean, yeah, that's it, right? Because people again learn different. Like you could put me in front of a shop manual and I could look at it 100 times and be like, I kind of get it, but you could take me out there to the bike and physically show me how to do it, and the light bulb goes off, and I'm like, I got this. Like, I
Yeah.
got it from here on out. I got it. Yeah, I think a lot of it too has to do with intimidation. Now, one thing I will admit, I suck ass when it comes to like all the new bikes with all these electronics on it. I don't know shit about it.
Oh yeah.
Dude, bro, I'm lost and would do like Cody's down there on it and doing all this. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, that. I'm like, well, I'm glad you're doing it, not me, because I would totally fuck it up, right? Don't mean I don't want to learn. I just don't. I don't have the proper setup and somebody around me that lives near me to physically come over here with his laptop and say, okay, this is how you do this SIM code. This is what this does. This is what that does. Yada, yada, yada. I never had that, right? If I did,
Cody's a wizard with that shit. I mean, he knows like what box goes with what and this and like it's the Woolwich stuff, but like he's really good with that. But yeah, you're 100% right. The new bikes, you don't work on them for a few years, you come back and you're like, what the heck is all this new stuff?
No, 110%, but again, even on the newer bikes with the electronics, it's still the same simple tool as a carbureted bike. A fuel inject bike, same simple tool. The electronics is a little bit different, but as far as everything else, your brakes, your suspension, your valve adjustments, all that's identical. It's top dead cylinder for 1 and 4, blah blah blah, rotate 180 degrees, and you got 3 and 4, blah blah blah. All that snazzy jazz stuff. It's all the basic concept.
Even I mean, it's all intake, compression, combustion, exhaust.
Suck, spin, squash, bang, blow, baby. Let's go. That's it.
And left is loose and right is tight, and that's the way I approach most things when it comes to that. Is like, if I don't know it, I'm gonna have to go slower and take my time. But like with my Ninja 650, for instance, like, man, I can almost take every bolt out of that engine, throw it in a bin, and know where each bolt goes if it's not all lined up. But I've done it. I've taken that engine apart so many times, so it's like, I mean, if you're new, just take your time, don't over tighten things. If it doesn't seem right, don't force it, right? And then you learn, and then the next time's faster and faster and faster, and you start relating like, oh, this is this and that, and a certain order of operations. But at the same time, I feel like if you get an OEM service manual, I mean, they make the service manuals pretty good because they don't go super in depth in school. So
they don't. Yeah. They don't. You're right. Again, education is key, especially when it comes to motorcycles. I think it's a foreign concept for people that's just getting into it. They're like, wow, I'm gonna be on these two wheels. I don't have no cage around me. I don't, dude, half of them don't even know how to change the maps on the bike, or dude, it just all the simple stuff that goes along with it. People, I think as a dealership too, they need to educate their customers more, especially when they come in the door and they're buying a whatever it is, and it's got all these switches and buttons and knobs. Man, you want to make sure that the customer is absolutely comfortable of working that machine before they take off into the real world and drive down this busy ass highway with everybody doing this shit on their phone, right? Because you need to. I feel like every time I'm out here on the street riding, man, I'm like Spartan fighting the Persians. I'm out there fighting for my life every corner, every stoplight. I'm looking behind me.
I feel so vulnerable nowadays. Like when I go out in like a lot of traffic on a bike, like I don't ride the street much anymore, and if I do, I try to stick to the back roads. And but sometimes you get in the city, and I'm just like, it's
scary.
A whole different feeling,
dude.
now.
It's like, a scary world out there
when you're not used to it. Yeah,
it's because of all the social media and everybody's on their cell phones, and at the end of the day, nobody gives a shit about a motorcyclist, right? But that's where we need to do our education. That's where we need to. That's why I'm so big on going down here to the dealerships and properly training people that come in the door. And don't get me wrong, there's people that's gonna come in and look at me and say, I don't fucking give a shit and walk off, and
Yeah,
that's
especially if
fine.
you're wearing that wig.
Right, especially if I'm wearing, and you know what, I'm gonna rock this wig too when I go. But that's also a way of me giving back to the sport. Besides the podcast, is I want to go down to the dealerships and educate people on the right safety gear and that this proper maintenance on a motorcycle. It's a huge deal, man. And again, like we just said, if you know your motorcycle, you don't have to know it inside out like me. You know it inside out, but you have the basic understanding. Change your own brake pads, change your own chain and sprockets, your own oil, your antifreeze, your spark plugs, change your air filter, your normal maintenance routine. Check your tire pressures every time you go out. I don't care if you checked them last night. When you wake up, check them bitches again,
Right.
right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it also saves, like, motorcycles as a whole is not cheap. Like, if you're not somebody who works on your own stuff, like,
They're expensive.
I mean, dealerships are charging 120 bucks an hour to do stuff. I went in and got a tire changed, right? I brought the wheel off the bike. I bought the tire from them. They charged me $55 to swap the tire, and I was like, $55 to use a tire machine to move one tire to another? That's insane.
Yeah.
That was the dealership. That's just how it was. Like, now that's our minimum. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And now, dude, shit, you take your freaking R1 in there with all these electronics, get a valve adjustment. I'm sure it's every bit of 1,500 $1,500.
Oh
All the
my
shit they got
God.
to take off, and bro, it's not like a ZX7R. You take out two bolts, lift the gas tank up, take the air box off, boom, carburetors are right there. Let's go.
Right.
Right, move them out the
Yeah.
way. Take the and get to
Yeah.
it. Now it's
I had a
like,
customer come in and the 2013 Suzuki Boulevard C90, right? So cruiser bike. And I was like, he was like, he brought it in. He wanted to do steering stem bearings. Said it wanders a little bit. So I just looked over the old bike. And I was like, his brake pads were worn out. Like every wear item was worn out. And the bike was in pretty good shape, like taken care of, like clean and stuff. And I look in the brake reservoir and I was like, when did you change your brake fluid last? He's like, I never did. I bought the bike brand new. I was like,
bro,
dude, it's 2024. Like it was last year, I'm like, you've never changed the brake fluid? Like he's like, no. He's like, no. I'm like, in Wisconsin, you should change it like every other year at least because of the condensation of the. And he had no clue that you were supposed to do that. He had the same coolant in the bike since it was brand new.
yeah. See, but
But the cool
we're
thing was that I educated him on it, right? And he was like, do it all. He was like, I didn't know any of this. Like he never changed the gear fluid in the in the shaft. Like it was the
yeah.
same gear fluid, and the bike had like 30,000 miles on it.
Should come out black. You're like,
Dude,
it's not red no more. Yeah,
so I changed the fork fluid and it was like syrup, dude.
yeah,
Like it was like,
sludge.
dude, and like, so the education, and that's what I try to do with like the customers that I come in is like, hey, I'm not trying to make all this money out off of you. I'm just trying to let you know, like, here, like I'll even pull the manual up and like, this is your service interval. Like, look what the factory says that you're supposed to do at what mileage and how many months, how many years, and like everyone skipped.
All of them.
All of them.
We're on year 15. You ain't. Yeah, it's. But I'm anal, man. People come over to my house and I'm out there in the garage in the summertime. They're like, didn't you just change your radiator fluid like 6 months ago? I'm like, yeah, and right, my brake fluid. I'm constantly changing my hydraulic fluid, my brake fluid, and it's a way to make sure your motorcycle's in tip top shape.
For
In order
sure.
for you to be in tip top shape, that's the last thing you want to worry about is,
Yeah.
oh shit. So real quick story, man. A buddy of mine, there's people in this world that don't need to put wrenches or have screwdrivers in their hands ever, right? They just don't
I
need it.
agree. I agree.
He's
Yeah.
one of them. So he calls me up. He's like, hey, Simcoe, I need you to come take a look at my bike. It's got an oil leak on it. I'm like, okay, I'll come after work. Show up. It's a Jix 750. It was a 2001, I think. Anyway, I go in the garage, I look up underneath it, and I was like, what happened to your oil pan? He's like, yeah, man, last time I changed my oil, I tightened it down and it cracked my oil pan. I was like, bro, like, you realize this thing's only like what, 14 foot-pounds of torque, if that? Like, it's got a crush washer. It don't need to be overly fucking tight. He's like, yeah, I put a little too much on it and cracked it. And then I'm looking at it, and he JB welded his drain bolt back in, right? And I'm like, well, how the fuck was you going to change your oil again? He's like, well, if you look on the opposite side of the pan, I drilled a hole in there.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, dude, to change the oil. And JB welded that hole up too. I looked at him, I said, you need to sell every tool you have in your garage right now. You should never touch another tool ever again, right? He's like, well, how do I fix it? I'm like, and the shitty part on that bike, she had to drop the exhaust on it the way it ran up underneath the oil pan. I mean, shit, by the time you take the canister off and you loosen up the headers, it still didn't barely had enough clearance to drop it from the back because it was like this, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, well, you need a new oil pan, get a new oil pan gasket, and next time you need your bike changed, your oil changed, I'm gonna show you how to do it. So he ordered all the parts. Obviously, we had to drain the oil and change it. I was like, look, this is how you do it. And I'm big on torque wrenches. Dude, buy a torque wrench. Everything has a torque specific on there, and there's a reason for that, right? And yeah, I showed him how to do it, and he's like, "That's it? It's that easy?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro, it's literally that easy. It's nothing special about this whole process, right?" But again, don't change your oil ever again, right? Call me or call somebody else, because next time you crack your oil pan and you made the mistake again, you're going to fix it. I'm not going to. And I didn't charge him anything to do it, right? Again, it was one of those opportunities I could educate, even though he's a buddy of mine, the proper way of doing things
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that. It makes a huge deal because now when they do it themselves, guess what? They got confidence in their bike. When they have confidence in their bike, they're happy and they want to go out there and ride it versus, oh, this thing's a piece of shit. It keeps breaking down or stopping or whatever. It's like, dude, so the RC51 I bought, I go to Eden, North Carolina. Everything on it was mint, but the rear brakes. As soon as I took off, I went and touched the rear brake. I was like, this thing has no fucking brake pads. None. I didn't even look. I fucking knew it right off the bat. Coming back, I was like, when's the last time you changed your brake pads? He's like, oh, we did it last year or whatever, right? And I look at it and the rear rotor is just fucking ate all the shit because it's been metal on metal. He's like, but it has been making a funny noise back there. I'm like, yeah, because you literally have no brake pads in this thing. It's none. Look at your rear rotor, like it's completely fucking shot. Like you can't even use this thing. It's junk. You might as well throw it away or make a wall clock. And he said, a wall clock. I'm like, it's junk. It's my point, right? He looked at me like, what are you talking about? Wall clock? Just simple things like that. Obviously, he lied to me because he never changed the rear brake pads because there's no way a set of rear brake pads is going to wear out in a year unless you're just constantly stomping on them.
Right.
Right. But it's people like that, obviously, if you educate too, it clears up a space in their head to where they're more comfortable with the bike. And if you're comfortable with the bike, you're going to put a smile on your face, right? So,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime that I've lightly scold, I used to be pretty bad about it, but I'd be like, I still had that Marine Corps in me where I was like, you fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like now I've learned to time it down, but nowadays it's like the last guy, Kirk, one of my customers, I mean, he went and rode his bike and called me and it was like best feedback ever, like, oh my God, dude, this bike's awesome. Everything's so good, like, so, thank you so much. I've never knew these things about these bikes. This is how you do it. And he's been riding. I mean, he's got to be in his mid 40s. He said he was riding since he was 18. So, he went all those years not knowing that you're supposed to change your brake fluid that often or all the
yeah,
little maintenance. And, yeah, so it's like at the same time it's rewarding.
it
I feel like
is.
it's kind of like coaching where, I enjoy coaching track days, because it's so rewarding seeing people learn and then them move up and grow, and it's like it's awesome to help them, and that's something I really enjoy to do.
It's a certain satisfaction you get from it, right? It's like I told my buddy, he just bought a bike. I was like, dude, do the simple things. When you take your tires off, dude, grease the axle, check your wheel bearings, right? This gives you the opportunity to check for loose bolts and, move your swing arm back and forth. If it notches, obviously your swing arm bearings will be changed. If you're sitting on the bike, grab the front brakes and rock it back and forth. You feel that thing notch. Obviously, your steering stem bearings are bad, right? Like there's things as you look at your bike, as you're cleaning it and you're washing it, that it gives you an opportunity to look it over and put your physical hands on her and touch her and caress her and make sure things are tight and where they're supposed to be. And if it's not, it
Yeah.
gives you opportunity to fix it, right? And
Yeah.
another thing too is a lot of my friends, man, they don't never clean their bike. I'm like,
I was
bro,
literally just about to say this.
your shit looks like it's been sitting outside for 8 goddamn years. It's literally 6 months old. Like, you need to wash it, you need to grease it, you need to wax it, you need to show her some love. You need to, in order for
Yeah.
her to
I
take care
mean,
of
when
you,
it's
you got to
clean,
take
you
care
can
of
see if
her,
anything's leaking or
bro.
something's wrong, or
It's
there's
bad,
so
dude.
much.
It's
Yeah.
so bad. I'm like, bro, when's the last time you cleaned your rims? It's this thick of brake dust and grease and all kinds of shit. I'm like, bro,
Yo, I can't tell you how many times I've like, especially at Ryan Shop, when I used to work at Ryan Shop, some of these kids who come in, the Marines, their bike leaves, they don't have a garage to put in, so they're leaving it outside. And
outside, you know.
but they're not really cleaning it that often. But how much a better a bike would look by just wiping down the wheels. Like, you just wipe the wheels down, and they're like, "Oh my God, my bike looks great." And you're like, "Yeah, all I did was wipe your wheels down." It's like, it's insane.
WD-40, my friends. It's easy.
Yo, when I used to have a street bike, every winter all my fairings would come off, and I would deep clean the bike every winter, like clean the whole thing, put it, and then put all the stuff back on, like wax
I
it,
still
clay
do it.
bar it. Like, I don't have a street bike anymore, but
I do it to the point to where I do everything but pull the motor out. I front forks come off, swing arm comes off. I literally get in there and clean it with a toothbrush. I'm greasing, I'm touching, I'm talking dirty to her.
right.
Greasy. I got grease. I look like I just been in this war fight with paint all. I mean, shit all over me. And I really enjoy doing that because yeah, I feel like again, you put your hands on her, you take her apart, man. You understand how she works. You understand what she looks like, how things are supposed to be, and again, it gives you the opportunity to put it back together, make sure everything's set up to create torque and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
Just
I don't think I've ever bought a motorcycle and not took it apart. Like,
I
I
know I
bought it and
haven't.
like within a few, unless it's brand new, but like I think I got my 450 from Dale. I went and raced nationals on it. So I did race one weekend on it, and I came back and it was like the steering stem was loose, like at the racetrack, and I was like, got back home and I took it all the way apart and like went through everything, just like, all
Yeah.
right, this is gonna be my bike. I need to know that I'm like everything's solid. Took it all apart, put it all back together.
Dude, when I got the RC51, I literally rode it for 2 days, and the next 2 weeks it was in my garage, swing arm off, front forks completely off, everything. Dude, the steering stems, front, dude, all of triple trees, all of it. It was all apart. It was just literally the frame and the motor sitting there with the airbox on it. Of course, with the throttle bodies and all in the wiring harness, but other than that, everything else was completely off the bike. Front and rear stand, it was all. I got those pit bull stands like you had that go up underneath the foot pegs too to swing off. Dude, yeah, all that, man. It was completely. My wife walks in, she's like, you barely ridden the bike like 2 times. I was like, I know, but I got to make sure this is right, and this is right, and this is clean, and this is grease, and this and that. She's like, you have an obsession. I was like, I love my obsession, right? It's absolutely amazing. But again, it's that whole. If more people knew how to do that, the world would be a better place. A lot more happier riders out there, right? And now, it sucks because now your dealerships, they won't touch your bike if it's 10 years or older, right? So they're
I know
forcing
it's
you
not.
to
And you got
trade
these,
your bike in and buy a new bike, and they don't want to give you shit for it because they're never going to fucking work on it anyway. It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
And it's crazy because, like, I mean, 10 years old, I mean, there's a lot of good bikes in the, 2000s, 2010s that are good bikes that just need a little bit of maintenance. I would understand not want to work on the old carbureted inline four stuff. I get that. Like, it can be a pain in the butt, and it's hard to make money with it. But the fuel injected stuff, like, you won't change fork seals on a fuel injected bike. That, like, it's just the fork seals. Like,
it's
that's
two front
crazy.
forks. There's nothing special about it. It's the same
Yeah.
shit.
They
So I
won't even do a
explained to
tire
people.
change. They won't even do a tire change on an old bike.
It's dude. It's to me. It's you're killing the market that way. It's not good for the motorcycle market, because now not everybody can go out and afford your fucking $30,000 fucking motorcycle. You can keep it, man. No, nobody.
No.
I don't want it. Nobody wants that, dude. We want our $10,000 bikes back, brand new. We
Yeah,
want,
for real.
yeah, dude. Bring that shit back. It's yeah, man. It's again, this is a whole nother conversation. Me and you, dude. We've been on this for almost 3 hours
Yeah,
now.
I know. Yeah, we better.
I'm looking at the top, and dude, I really got to use the bathroom. So we're gonna
Oh
end this
shoot.
podcast here in a minute, dude. I've
Yeah,
got to go. But listen, dude, Eddie,
good. We
this has
could go.
been
We could go forever. You know how it was all weekend. So
me and you can absolutely. We'll definitely sit down again, and we'll schedule our next one after I end this for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna let you end the podcast, but first, I just want to say, thanks to everybody that watches and subscribes to this podcast. It's an absolute honor. Without everybody, watching this and coming on as friends, I would never be in this position to do it. So it's all you guys and girls that are absolutely that makes this podcast happen. It's nothing but love to every single one of you. If you have not yet, please go to all my socials. You guys know the deal. Hit that bell, ding, 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 as you hear all podcasters say, right? But it helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. Big shout out to Next Level Financial for all your financial needs. BisonTrack.com for your full custom suit, which Robert and Tasha are some of the most amazing people you're going to meet in your life anyway. Chef Eats for all your food. You guys can use a discount code PIN2GAS to get some money off your food. Big shout out to TST Industries. Everybody can go to theclothingking.co.uk. Yeah, my son started coloring my Clothing King things, but you guys can go to the website and get all your PIN2GAS merch. That's where I get a lot of compliments on that soft shell jacket. That's exactly where it comes from. And my hats too as well. They come from the UK. Big shout out to Superbike Supply, Eric, Do It for Dad. Big shout out to SFL Mini GP and my boy Julian Carrera out there in the British Town Cup this year. I hope you absolutely murder it. Big shout out to RD Racing and Jake Marsh, Vet2 Track, Flying Eyes Optics, 64-degree Racing, which is an undersuit. Tate makes amazing undersuits. I got a custom 2-piece sitting up over here. Big shout out to Ghetto Customs, Chris Parrish. Everybody knows who he is. He makes the best body work. Big shout out to Carnes Performance in Pennsylvania. Look no further. Best dealership hands down in Pennsylvania. Big shout out to KYT Helmets America, K-Tech Suspension, Birch, Kendall, and Dakari, RDR Racing, Ready to Race in North Carolina, Coleman Power Sports here in Virginia. If you ever wanted to do a track day at a MotoGP track, look no further than Mick Leo Escapes Track and Tour. I need to hang this on my wall, like you said, so I'm not looking down, I'm looking forward. Listen, I need everybody to go to roadracingworld.com and sign up for their air fence. Donate to it. It's imperative that we have the air fences on our racetracks. If we did not have the air fences, we're not having fun. We're not going racing. Even if it's $1 or $5, $50 or $100, whatever you got, please donate. And if you're lucky, you show up to a Moto America event. He actually does 2-up rides. I forget what the minimum donation is. I think it's $350 or $400. You get a 2-up ride with the legend Chris Ulrich on the back of his GSXR 1000. Which, Chris, if you're listening, I need that 2-up ride, baby. Big shout out to STG, Brian and Max Van, Drippin' Wet Graphics, REB Graphics, and my buddy Gus Radio has RGR Graphics too as well. You're not going to go wrong by ordering graphics from any of these fellas. Big shout out to Venom Undersuits at Aliki. Any of my UK friends out there that want to get proper track days and coaching, look no further than Mike the Spike Edwards. You can go to v121pro.com or mike/edwards.net. Big shout out to BTR, Bill Train Race Program in Moto America. It's one of the best programs we have. I absolutely love what they're doing. Big shout out to Racer 411 program at tippinracing.com. Hyper Naked Suits, California Superbike School UK, Moto Mutt International. Big shout out to King Performance, SCMRC out there in Texas. Big shout out to Turn 12, Obsession Engineering, and BTI Photos. Man, I just said a whole lot. Eddie, tell everybody where they can find you on socials, where the next racetrack or flat
shirt.
track you could.
What
He
up,
does have
Rossi?
my shirt. This is Eddie. I went to go see here. You want to talk to him?
It's a wig.
It's a wig. You like that, don't you? Did you have a good day at school?
Yeah.
All right.
Heck
Guess
yeah.
what?
Yo, Chris, you got a lot of sponsors, bro.
Listen, they are all these guys are friends of
20
mine.
bucks.
Yeah, thanks for my $20, fool.
I got this from selling snacks.
So we'll
Snacks.
look at
Hustling.
you, little hustler.
Mm.
You learn from your daddy, don't you? All right.
I don't know what I want.
Well,
I either
you
want
think about it.
Robux, V-Bucks, or something on VR.
All right, well, I got to go to the store when I get off here, so I'll get you V-Bucks or whatever. But anyway, dude, Eddie, what I was saying is all these people that I give a shout out, they're actually personal friends of mine in the industry, man. And I don't ask anything from any of them for free. You know, I do get some stuff like Tate. I had the honor of Tate send me a free custom 2-piece undersuit, right? But it's all my friends, again, like I said, that are in Moto America or that has to do with our beautiful circus. And I want to send people their way so they are thriving and selling stuff so they can stay doing what they're doing, right? And being involved in the paddock and the racing community. It's very important to me. And that's one thing that when when I started doing the podcast myself that I don't care if I get anything in return. It's also a way for me to give back to the circus.
sure.
And some people look at me, Eddie, and they're like, "What are you, fucking stupid? You should be getting paid to do this." I'm like, I'm not in it to get paid. I'm not in it to look at how many views I get on a podcast or how many numbers I get last month. I don't give a shit about any of that because at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about it. What I care about is helping my friends in the industry and helping the sport grow and doing it in a different way than everybody else is doing it, right? Everything else
Sure.
that comes along is just a bonus for me, right? Like, again, giving Tate a shout out all the time on the podcast. I got a free 2-piece custom suit. Did I ask for that? No. Was that in my mind when I started doing it? Absolutely not. I did it for my love of what he does in the undersuit side of things. Same thing with Bison. I believe what Robert and Tasha are doing for the community in Bison, right? They, after doing that, I didn't even ask. I don't ask none of these guys permission when I first started doing it. I just started doing it because they're friends of mine, and I figured they wouldn't give a shit if I did it. They'd actually enjoy it, right? So,
Heck yeah.
um,
Yeah, it's huge, man. I mean, that's so cool that you have the platform to do it and you're doing it. And I'm, speaking for everyone, thanks for what you're doing and bringing all the positive vibes, man. I mean, honestly, we had the talk at the track and just, having you at the track and constantly bringing everyone up and keeping the morale high. It's like, it's awesome to have you around. And I thank you for everything you're doing and thank you for coming out this weekend for sure.
Oh man, listen, the honors on mine. I can't wait to jump on that train again, and we're going to do it all again, but this time with different
Okay.
results, 110%.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, I mean, it's again, it's just my way of giving back to the sport. Is there some perks that come with it? Of course there is, but again, I don't. I mean, you could ask any of these guys when you meet them, dude. Does Simcoe ever ask you? No. Look at you say nope. The only thing he asked me for was we see him as a big hug. That's it, right? So.
Heck yeah.
And that to me means more because I find too in this industry there's too many there's a lot of fake people that want things for all the wrong reasons, right? I wanted to be different than everybody else and make my own path in my own way. So yeah,
Heck yeah, man. You're killing it. Just keep up the good work and it'll come.
appreciate it. So Eddie, dude, tell everybody where they can find you and all that good stuff.
All right, before I do that, I just wanted to give a huge thanks to KSR, Kyle. Got Chiguana with Bill, Will, and Weston. Thanks, guys, for all your help with the Daytona 200. Hometown Orthodontics with Vic and Ebony Reed. Huge, big friends. Been around for a long time and believing in me and helping me out is huge. Ready to Ride, of course. RJ Power Sports and all your help along the way. And of course, Bridgestone Tires. You guys, you really tried your hardest to get us out there, and I appreciate all your help. And then, of course, last but not least, my whole family for showing up and always being there to support me and help me out, on and off track. So thanks to everyone. And of course, Chris, you were a huge help out there bringing, the morale and of course, can't forget Sean. Sean helping out and doing the welding and fixing the body work and just doing an amazing job. So thanks to everyone, Cody, Kyle, Al, all the Racing Unlimited boys. We'll get back out there and get a good result. So you can find me on social media on Instagram, Eddie K688, through Facebook, just Eddie K. And then I also have a website, Eddie K, just the letter 688.com.
Eddie, dude, we need to get you some more merch so we can sell it out there, man. We get people in your t-shirts and your hats and all that good stuff.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, we're getting some more bills. I think Bill and I are gonna work together and figure some stuff out and put it up on the merch shop on the website, see if we can get that rolling, figure out the logistics behind that. He's the shirt king, so he'll know what to do.
Yeah, I need to make me some more. I want to make some more regular t-shirts instead of the team shirts that I've been making. I just think it's cool to add a different dynamic to it, right? As far as team shirts go. But next what I'm gonna do is just strictly t-shirts. It's gonna be simple.
You should hit up Bill. He'll help you out. I mean, one thing I was concerned about with making the t-shirts, and I kind of expressed to him, is we've had shirts made in the past and they're uncomfortable, they shrink too much, or they're too rough of a material after you wash them a few times, and the shirt material. I mean, you're wearing it right now. It's the shirts that he's bringing are great quality and I mean affordable too. So if anybody needs any shirts, hit up Chiguana.
Yeah, dude, I will. And how do I find? And I met him. He's the one with the umbrella girl, right?
Yes, sir.
How do I find him?
I mean, social media, Chiguana. You just look up Chiguana Key West. I think the website is chiguanakeywest.com. I mean, don't quote me. I know if you go through Instagram, you'll be able to go right to the website.
Yeah, well, I hit him a message. I hit him up. I'm always in the market for. Of course, I get Bison to make my shirts. They make regular T-shirts too, but I wanna find somebody that makes a good quality shirt that I can buy 100 of them for like $300 or $400 instead of
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it depends on how
the.
much you put on it, of course. And the hat was made through Chiguana as well, so he's the spot to go.
I think when I do regular T-shirts, it's going to be simple. It's just going to say "pin the gas" here and on the back, "pin the gas," right, without
Oh, yeah,
all,
it'd be
all the other
real
stuff,
easy.
right? Yeah, just something simple. I like as far as what you have on. Of course, they sell out really quick, and a lot of people love them, which is absolutely an honor. But they are a lot more expensive to make. 9 times out of 10, dude, I give them away. I don't sell a lot of them.
Yeah, we'll just have to find you a good pink shirt, and then do maybe some, pin the gas podcast in yellow. It'll look good.
Yeah, or just a black shirt, or a purple shirt or a blue shirt. I get crazy. Oh, can you make purple shirts? I'm like, yeah, we can do purple shirts, but I got to have an order place. I can't. It's expensive just to do one shirt, right? Like
It is.
it's better to save your money and spend a couple $100 and at least get 50 or more. So yeah.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, listen, Eddie, this has been a lot of fun, man. It's we always plan on for an hour. Look at that, dude. We're 3 hours into this podcast, man.
Yeah.
It's always a good time sitting down talking
Yes,
about what we
sir.
love. So
Yeah, it's great talking to you again, and I hope to see you soon, man. Just keep her pinned.
dude, you will absolutely see me soon. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. If you missed this, you can go back to my YouTube channel and immediately watch it as soon as I end this. If not, it'll be out everywhere tomorrow, Spotify, iHeart, all that good stuff. So yeah, in the meantime, we will see you guys soon. Peace. All right, let me end this. And just stay on with me for a second. We're going to schedule part 2, and I got to go to the bathroom real quick.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.